Welcome to VAL'S Views Live podcast. Real news, real talk, real views. Join us weekly for social, political, and religious commentaries, analytically dissecting viral news and more. When they mix it, we'll fix it. Unorthodox and unfiltered views. This is VAL'S Views Live, the podcast edition. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Watch it live in Jamaica on Hype TV and across the Caribbean. Stream it live on Facebook, YouTube. Don't miss it. Welcome to VAL'S Views Live podcast. Real news, real talk, real views. Join us weekly for social, political, and religious commentaries, analytically dissecting viral news and more. When they mix it, we'll fix it. Unorthodox and unfiltered views. This is VAL'S Views Live, the podcast edition. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Watch it live in Jamaica on Hype TV and across the Caribbean. Stream it live on Facebook, YouTube. Don't miss it. Welcome to VAL'S Views Live podcast. Real news, real talk, real views. Join us weekly for social, political, and religious commentaries, analytically dissecting viral news and more. When they mix it, we'll fix it. Unorthodox and unfiltered views. This is VAL'S Views Live, the podcast edition. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Watch it live in Jamaica on Hype TV and across the Caribbean. Stream it live on Facebook, YouTube. Don't miss it. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of VAL'S Views Live, the podcast edition. This is episode 11, and tonight we'll be talking about the regressing school system. Is the Jamaican school system suffering from residual effects of colonization in the 21st century? Also, we have a few social views items that we'll be covering for you tonight. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We have some breaking stories in terms of development in stories. We got Shelling Shells in the building, also real Jamaican, and later on, of course, a longtime friend of VVL. Before we went to podcast style or edition or version, we used to have Kamala Forbes. She'll be in the building tonight. So guys, welcome. Go ahead and share this live link right about now. If you haven't yet done so, please hop on over to our YouTube channel and of course subscribe and hit the notification bell as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm your boy Andrew Val. Welcome to another episode of course, you don't know the thing already, VAL'S Views Live. So here what's coming up on tonight's show. We're going to be talking about the British Virgin Islands premier who was arrested a few days ago in Miami. Also, the biggest money find in Jamaica for the JCF. Of course, Security Minister Horace Chang is giving praises to JCF. Also, apparently, there is an online scamming that's taking place. A man who is stuck in Jamaica who, after traveling from Africa, was abducted by gangsters in Jamaica at the border. I don't really get it, but anyhow, he traveled from Africa on boat. We have those stories and more coming up right here on VVL, the podcast edition. Special good evening and welcome to you all. Also, special good evening to all our viewers on Hype TV, how you picture entertainment in Jamaica and across the Caribbean. Thank you guys so much. So I'm at my welcome the crew in the building. Of course, you don't know Shelling Shells and Gio. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to get the ball rolling. It is VVL. Thank you guys so much. Great evening. Wagwan, starting with Shells first, the woman in the group, the female of the group, the lone empress. Wagwan, Wagwan. Yeah, Gio just do some stuff more time while I'm wondering, like, you know.
It's all good. Everything all right over here, so.
Yes.
Working on the rest. So good day. Because I can't single out any special time of the day, seeing that we're all in different
time zones,
hemispheres and time zones. So, you know, greetings everybody. Over Hype TV, we are on Facebook. Go over there and, you know, participate. We'd love to hear your views.
All right, cool. Thank you. David McLeod, thank you so much. Big up the entire Jamaica Issues crew. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Go ahead and share it. And Gio, you're on timeout for like 5 minutes for what you just did. So
my camera.
Bro, you should have cleaned your camera, clean your lens before you go live. And then, you know what's funny? Here, like
Listen, we went live. When I just got into the back end of the studio, it looked pretty clear. As soon as I popped up on the screen, I looked like a fuzz. So I'm sorry, I had to clean the camera.
It's a fuzzy day. All right, cool. All right, well, go on. How have you been?
Over there, did what do I call it? Went out for drinks with the wife and went to some live music. Imagine a Spanish rock band that's singing in English, but the only thing they know in English is the actual songs that they're singing. They don't know anything else. But it was absolute fun. Brought me back to a couple of years ago when I was one of them youth there at the dance hall of wine because my wife just decided to get up and start dancing, and then that turned into that. So you may see a video of myself I go viral in Spain, and I understand why, but it was actually good. Like, yeah, it was one of those days.
Good. Jeannie, big up yourself. Yeah. Went out and dance to wine, Jamaican wine to salsa music. Hey, I don't know. All right, guys. So tonight we have a jam-packed show lined up for you. Do remember that tonight we'll be discussing this very important topic: the regressing Jamaican school system. And of course, this came in light of this principle on the screen right now. It's nothing to do with Favel or the Queen or whatnot, but of course, it's about the principle of Casey and what he did recently. And now he's refuting claims that he blocked students from entering the school compound. But anyhow, we're going to dissect that a little later on from now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And of course, we have a few breaking news. And the first one, Shells, I think you have a breaking news for us as well. I heard that, is it true that the son of Sanchez was actually, killed, or it is alleged that he's a part of the three that was killed in Augustown?
Yes. Nationwide news broke the information. It says that the police have not provided identities of the men killed this morning in a triple murder in Bedward Gardens in Augustown, St. Andrew. However, Nationwide News understands that the son of popular entertainer Sanchez is among the three people killed. And of course, it continues to say the police are investigating and all of that. But if I remember correctly from what I saw in the media, today would have been the funeral of Sanchez's mother. So
it's very sad.
If it is indeed true his son, and I doubt Nationwide would have put that news out there without confirming things. It is sad.
It's very sad. I mean, imagine the day you bury your mom is the day you heard that your son.
You lose your son, yeah.
Yeah, died. I mean, it's
so
very so sending love and light to Sanchez, and his family, and of course, so it's like some people would say like a double whammy, but in this case, it's not good, and I don't know, but it's very sad. Yes, Jeannie, it's very sad. So that's the first breaking news that I'm sorry we have to start out the show this way, but anyhow, we're just trying to bring you guys up to speed with what's happening, keeping you abreast as to what's happening in Jamaica and within the region. But anyhow, I think it's time for us to check out our first item for tonight, and I think I want to go to this one first because it's very interesting. There's some development in the latest story about the big drug bust that took place in St. James on Tuesday. So here we are. We have some updates for you. So let's check them out. Let's check it out.
The police had reported that on Tuesday, April 26, 2022, a pre-dawn operation led by the Narcotics Division and supported by the Joint Anti-Gang Task Force and the Divisional Police was carried out in the swanky Coral Gardens community in St. James. A vehicle was intercepted and during a search, cocaine weighing approximately 11 kilograms with a street value of $88 million was found. Subsequent to the seizure, a search was conducted at a house in Coral Gardens where the police discovered the cash. More than US $3.8 million, 554 million Jamaican dollars, and Canadian 30,000, which is equivalent to 3.3 million Jamaican dollars, found at a house in Montego Bay. But here are some interesting facts you need to know. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says Tuesday's cocaine bust in the resort city is the largest sum seized during a police operation in the history of the JCF. Did you know that the initial report by the police was that they seized more than 5 million US dollars in cash? It is considered to be one of the biggest financial fines associated with drug smuggling in Jamaica. So far, 2 people have been taken into custody in connection with the drug bust. Their identities are being withheld pending further investigations. Now, Parish Judge Sasha Smith Ashley ordered that one of the arrested individuals be charged or be released on Tuesday, May 3rd, after a habeas corpus application was made on his behalf by his attorneys. In 2005, the United States had requested the extradition of the owner of the house where the large stash of cash was found, but that was blocked by the court. Dr. Chang lauded the police for their excellent work, which led to the drug bust and subsequent money find.
All right, cool. So some development that in 2005, I think there was supposed to be some extradition case brought before the court, and the court blocked it. Red flag right there. I hear Horace Chang giving praises to the JCF, but I don't think this is a JCF thing, of course. They had to carry out the operation. But this sounds more like somebody kind of squeal shells, jail. This doesn't just sound like, oh, they're acting on intelligence type of vibe. Intercepted a car and, drugs were found in the car and blah, blah, blah. The typical scripted story that we have been hearing for decades now. But what is alarming is that at the initial report about the amount that was found, how is it that they found or knew of the amount, when they first went on the scene? So somebody just stood there and estimate the fines. I mean, I really don't get it. And then all of a sudden it is less than 5 million. It is now 3.8, I think, guys. This not sound kind of fishy too, no?
I mean, for the fact that whenever anything like of this nature happens, like they generally don't find anyone, that for me automatically squeals fishy. I mean, whoever this other person is, I'd say either the person is going to be charged or, they will release them or not. I mean, chances of them connecting these 2 people to the actual stash is limited, minimal at best. And toward what end they found that much money? Of course, someone just squealed. If I catch somebody with 25 pounds of coke and then that person just says, oh yeah, let me go and show you the house that I was going to bring this coke to. I mean, at Jamaica, it's not America. Like, nobody never even cut a deal. Like, hey, if you show me where you go, maybe, no, that's not going to happen. That's not what happened in this particular case. No.
Yeah, Shells.
And Joe, I honestly don't know what to say, because it's like hearing an Nancy story and you're not really certain which direction it will go next or who going to win. Say Nancy always win. That me fi say. So it's like no matter what, you just don't know. Because me agree with you. How do you count that money on the spot? Well, was it an approximate figure? Why did you, in any case, stated a figure? Why didn't they just wait until after the fact to just give a figure and call it that? Because at one point I'm certain I saw 600 million or something like that. I don't recall, but some 600 number was there.
That's Jamaican, because what the find based on the final count, it is equivalent to I think 500 or something million Jamaicans. And with 30,000 Canadian, which I think is 3 point something million Jamaicans anyway. So you're right. The initial number, said that it was, 5 million. And people were saying, oh, that looked like more than 5 million. I mean, I don't know how to estimate money in terms of seeing it in raw cash by looking at it in terms of the amount. But for this fine, it simply means that this man is not a small-time man, and this man is not just a regular Joe on the street. Because even, hold on, Gio, for the court to block the extradition request from the United States a few years ago, then this simply means this man is not like me and Gio and Shell, is a regular Joe that owns a wholesale Who is this person? And the next thing is though, why is it that whenever they find these, you know, get these drug busts and so on and arrest people, they tend to hide their identity. And if it's a so-called small man, his picture is plastered all over social media. That's what I don't get.
You can tell is well, of course, it's definitely someone of affluence. Like you don't just get an extradition order blocked if you are nobody. I mean, considering say a homeless man that spend time in a jail for a pick ackee. If you get an extradition order blocked against you, like you are definitely not that homeless man. You are somebody who of great import to the people, to the powers that be.
Right.
You have to see it for what it actually is, and in relation to the amount of money that they reported initially, of course, like somebody was like, "Yo, you can't say that, dog. Like, if you take our cut first, you can't tell them what money did it. What wrong with you?"
Right. That just wouldn't make any sense for real. That just wouldn't make any sense. So I mean, all right. So this goes to show that maybe this is just a drip in the bucket. Maybe this is smoke and mirrors. Maybe there's something bigger behind this. That's what we're trying to figure out right here, because this story it's just not adding up to me. I mean, they found all of this money, they found drugs and all of that. And in fact, the owner of the house was supposed to be extradited, and the court blocked that request from the United States. And then all of a sudden, is it that they knew about this case and they were doing their own investigation? Could that have been the deal, Shell? Do you think that could have been a case?
It's not a random case. It's not a random case. And with the reason for the extradition blockage, why they blocked it. They didn't state the reason why. And there could be more than one reasons why they block a extradition. Not necessarily because he have money, but could have been other reasons. And many of us would want to hope that should in case anything, our extradition would be, straightened out and we're not just draped up and sent away. But you can tell that there's so much more going on in this case, and you wonder who got offended. Why all of a sudden, this big boss and then the media, why couldn't they do what they were doing and then, give the media the information as they go along? Why was there a figure given? And no, it's like everything is being kept, tight up and people want to know, since you're going to give as much as a figure and give us sort of information, just come out and say it, because you don't keep nothing quiet. And that's a problem with sometimes you need to keep some of these things under wrap until move like Uncle Sam sometime. When you hear about it is when they have such a airtight case, nothing can squeeze through it, Can't be trusted, but I tell you, let me tell you something else of the year. Remind me later.
All right, cool. Definitely.
If I would juxtapose the extradition request that was blocked with that of like a Dodos. Think about it this way. Dodos being who he was, them announced it on TV, say, yeah, we signed it so him can go. And obviously that was the biggest flaw I've ever seen anybody execute in real life. But in this particular case, no mention of anything was made to anybody more so than we just know now, based on the fact that they found all these millions of dollars and how much cocaine that, say, over a decade ago, that person did get extradited. And we say, no, like, who you be make you more important than Dollars? Because Dollars get female put on TV, so I'm know for run. So who are you?
And I mean,
probably Uncle Sam squeeze them.
Hey, maybe, or probably, it's just that in terms of not going through with the request, I feel like it doesn't look good for Jamaica, because here we are a few years later. This is what happens. Uncle Sam been a
somehow me feel like Uncle Sam have we don't know why, but
we don't know.
And I don't think this is the end of this.
Nah, me too. We're going to be definitely keeping you abreast, guys, if there's any development in the coming days. Here's another big bust in the Caribbean. This one have everybody thinking like, whoa, what's really going on? Let's take a look at this and then we discuss when we come back. Let's check this out.
The Premier of the British Virgin Islands appeared in federal court in Miami on Friday after his arrest on cocaine smuggling charges, while Britain's Governor of the Caribbean Territory announced that a corruption inquiry found ample reason to suspend the island's elected government. The arrest of Premier Andrew Fahey in Florida prompted the UK-appointed governor of the British Virgin Islands to release a damning report Friday from a probe into separate, wide-ranging allegations of corruption. Dramatic developments place the immediate future of the British overseas territory into doubt. The string of islands, inhabited by 35,000 people east of Puerto Rico, is currently under a 2007 constitution, giving it limited self-governance under a governor who is the ultimate executive authority as the representative of Queen Elizabeth II. Fahey was arrested Thursday at a Miami airport along with his territory's director of ports, Olean Vine Maynard, in a U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency sting. Maynard's son, Kadeem Maynard, faces the same charges in the alleged scheme. Fahey and Maynard had been at the airport to meet Mexican drug traffickers who, in reality, were undercover DEA agents.
All right, so this are bigger than what Chung are celebrate over right now. I'm sure some DEA agents are celebrating right now. Obviously, they have been under the DEA's radar. This is not just a one-off thing. And what is alarming is that the director of customs, the person who is in charge of what goes, comes in and goes out of the country, is in the middle of this. In fact, a $700,000 bribe was offered for drug smugglers to use the British Virgin Islands as a port, as a means for them to ship and to transport and to export their drugs from Colombia to Miami and New York City. And the worst thing about it, guys, is that this director, the female, said that no worry about it. My prime minister is crooked and he will take a bribe. Let's bring him in. Let's get him involved. DEA agents acting as Mexican drug lords or drug cartels or drug dealers. What a piece of story, guys. I mean, I'm sure this is a signal to Jamaica, not to the prime minister. I'm not saying that. But Shells, you always ask the question, why is it that contrabands and all these things slip past customs officers in Jamaica? Could this be an eye-opener? Could this be the fire under the most steel for say the Caribbean is corrupt? Did we ever think of the British Virgin Islands to do this? Of course, there is corruption going on there. But I am surprised that a prime minister get him hand caught in the cookie jar. Usually it's an associate, it's an affiliate. But the prime minister, guys, help me to make sense of this. Greedy choke puppy. Let me go over to you, Shells. First thing first. This is your line of work, Shells.
My line of work. it's sweet, Mr. Till. Let me say, when them are gonna do something like that for Jamaica, and I'm not showing shades at our prime minister, but we want to see the all the guns and drugs that is coming onto the island. Come no man. Somebody higher up must know. But in a real life, what a disgrace.
Yeah.
It's an ultimate disgrace. But come on now, Andrew. The Caribbean has always been.
Would you say disgrace though, Shells?
Of course it's a disgrace. The Caribbean has always been. I don't know if you would take notice, but it has always been a place where criminals run to.
Mm-hmm. Remember the plane we crashed?
Criminals with money.
Remember the plane we crashed?
Love the British Virgin Islands, my dear.
remember the plane we crashed? Or what if the plane we crash have something to do with the stash with them fine? Bring a mobile.
We don't know. But the Caribbean is a haven for sophisticated quote-unquote criminals. The big wigs, the one them where, have affluence and influence, and they have private jets and planes and choppers and they get around above. They have the yachts. They get around above the heads of all of us. Where how dare you stop even the Prime Minister of the BVI Islands to check for what? Are you crazy? You understand? He could have slide and do whatever. They have diplomacy to pass through for them passport. Them not a visa. No, you understand? They are diplomats. They move around. Yes. So that's why it's a disgrace, because nobody's gonna look for somebody of that influence to actually be doing things like that. And so we want them something that we want to see. When a business who catch them, we want them know say once you're a criminal, you're not above the law, and you will be shown up. And prison, not too good for him right now.
All right, the BVI, has come under, Britain's radar when it comes to corruption, because I hear that a lot of projects that actually started forfeited. Some of them even stopped halfway. $1 million grants being given to, cronies to the Prime Minister. And then all of a sudden now, Britain wants to, take back charge in terms of, sending an interim, government, because it is so corrupt that they can't even trust the government itself. Right now, they're trying to do overall, reassessment, and they're kind of vetting again as the customs officers and people who work at the ports and so on. Because imagine the director saying to these drug smugglers, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I have my Prime Minister locked. And it sounds as if this is not only unique to BVI, but it's also a thing I think is happening in Jamaica. Gio, it's not far off.
See. Well, I mean, we have to look at the amount of drugs that comes into the island on a regular basis, and at the same time, something that caught my eye about it is the fact that, generally speaking, if someone is traveling, it is never usually the case that you can actually touch a diplomatic purse. So in this particular case, I'm sure that what they did was have him bring in the drugs in exactly that, the diplomatic purse, knowing that nobody at customs wouldn't search him. But they set him up for the fall once he left there, because they understood the case to be that he was going to try and sell it. But generally speaking, still, diplomats don't get arrested like that. I mean, I've seen people, I've heard of worse. So generally speaking, they don't get arrested. Like whatever crime is that they commit, like they usually commit the crime and then they go back home, and then whether or not they're going to be prosecuted in their home territory, that is usually where the matter is referred. But in this particular case, it might, I don't know. See, I have to look at it different, If it were a person directly from the UK, would the person have been arrested? Or would the person have been, stripped of them diplomatic status and sent back to wherever it is that they were from? Because me have to look at it like, you know what? Even if they want to try and make an example, they're making an example of a person from a country from a lesser status, because it's just a territory. It's not necessarily the UK itself, and it's still somewhere in the Caribbean. Because
that came to mind too.
People
You're
from
right.
the UK, like people from other countries, may know, like literally have murdered people and gone back home, and whether or not they face the consequences was determined in their home territory. So I have to, play devil's advocate and look at it as being whether or not them just try to punish the black person in this particular case, because these things happen all the time.
Yeah, I thought of that too. I said usually when people of this caliber, people in terms of diplomats, whenever they're caught, especially with their hands in the cookie jar, you never heard of it. They just always go hush hush, or somebody else would take the fall. In this case, they actually he and his colleague, they went to Miami to do that deal, where to get the $700 bribe, which the 700,000 wasn't even real money. It was fake money. That was supposed to be the pay for them to allow the shipment to come through. And based on what I've heard as well, Gio, is that they have actually planned to do a little bust to say, hey, look, our port is safe. So don't worry about it. We are on top of things. And then behind all of that, the smoke and mirrors, then they smuggling all of that big.
I am not caring if it's because he's a black man or not. I am happy that is no longer the case.
Corruption.
And hope that anybody again, whether or not they have that color, creed, race, or whatever, this is now the way they're moving forward to deal with people who have diplomatic. But does he have diplomatic immunity though, GL? Or it means just a diplomat?
I'm not
I guess it depends, you know.
He should though, because being the prime minister, I think he should.
But that's drugs, and you're using your entire country to do that, like.
Yeah.
It's because of
murder. But
it's
murder
because of
is
beef,
murder.
yeah.
You know, like if you kill somebody, and you can't get to go home after you
But
kill
it can
somebody,
be self-defense. Me can kill somebody in a self-defense and get to go home. But you actually using your house as a port for something as serious and left your country gone the next country, gonna solidify the deal. It's not even like in your
what makes it such a disgrace, as Shell said, is the fact that this man is a prime minister. Imagine, right? Like the prime minister of the country is the biggest drug dealer in the country. Like that's
None of that. The port director say, well, I know. The port director tell them, say, don't worry. I don't want to misquote her, but in other words, don't worry yourself, man. Me know Shells. And Shells love lights.
Shells all right with it.
Yeah, she good man. She good man. Yeah, me have she luck. Yeah. She good man. You don't have to worry about nothing.
I agree, Avram. This is not his first.
Yeah, man. Those people, remember, you know, Uncle, some people them not running, you know. Then we come down to Jamaican police do not talk. But let me applaud Jamaican police are doing much better when they come out to investigation. I don't mean that. Yeah, you all are improving. But you know, back in the days when you know Jamaican local police would do some bust, and when I look everything got on the drain because it wasn't properly investigated. Remember, I say Uncle, some people them not joke so. Long time, I can probably more than a decade them sit down very patiently. I swing them foot so and I clap him.
Yeah, you know? 10 years though. 10 years for the premiere. He'll be back out and you know still have money and can go drink champagne with him little pinky cock off and all of that.
Let's hope so. Right. Let's hope he sent some of those money over Cayman to put down or some other one Caribbean country then.
Let's see. All right, cool. So that's it for social views for tonight. Of course, remember, I promised you we're going to be having Kamala Forbes, not a stranger to VVL. But of course, tonight we'll be talking about this case in particular, the story. It's all about the regressing Jamaican school system. Is the Jamaican school system suffering from residual effects of colonization in the 21st century? Now, this story, you know, came to light. I think Shell's actually, you know, I don't remember if it's Shell who posted it in the group or whatnot, but somebody kind of, you know, say, hey, Andrew, look at what's going on where the KC principal blocked students from entering the compound because they're, according to him, first, well, he's refuting that now, but according to initial reports is that they were not groomed for school. We're going to be inviting Kamala in to speak with us right now. Kamala, welcome to VAL'S Live, the podcast. It's the first time on the podcast, but, you know, thank you. Looking good.
Thank you.
Miss Jim Rat. Miss Jim Rat, I see you all over the place. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm here. Thanks for having me. I haven't been on in a while.
Right, man, go get slim, man.
I was always slim.
Wow. Hey, Gio got his eyes on Kamala Shells. Is that what we're trying to say? I don't know. All right. So let us you know, before we get into that, Kamala, there is one item that I want to cover before I move on real quick. And is this item. What's the latest on this situation where the child was left in the teacher's car and was killed? I don't know. What's the latest on that? Because all we're hearing now is that the child was buried, I think, a few days ago or yesterday or whenever.
Buried yesterday.
But what's the latest?
Nothing.
You know?
And he's not the only one. There was an 18-month-old who was the daughter of 2 police officers. We haven't heard anything about that either. There was the little boy whose throat was slashed in Montego Bay. We haven't heard anything about that either. So, I mean, we're just hearing, I mean, this is just bizarre, all of these child killings. We're just kind of getting so numb to it now because it's like there's just no resolution. They're just not interested in solving these. I mean, with this is a clear clear case of negligence. I mean, it's not rocket science. I can't understand why nothing is happening. You understand
Mhm, mhm.
who is to be held responsible? That child is dead, but we digress.
Oh boy, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. All right. So what's on your screen right now, guys? Is and Kamala. I brought this up because you're in the building, and
No, but you see, I'm going to do a video about this over TikTok tonight.
oh wow, Shells, Gio, were you guys aware of this in terms of the money that was spent for the royal visit of y'all highnesses, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge? No,
I,
according to
I
hold on,
saw, okay.
hold on. Initial reports is that it wasn't going to cost the government a cent,
Exactly.
and I'm like, I don't. So who was going to
You
pay for
can
this?
believe that?
Who was going to? I mean, hey,
Oh.
who was going to pay for it? Shells, you're about to say something.
No, I'm not, I didn't believe the initial report. That's the first thing. And somehow I thought it would have cost more, or maybe it cost more and they just gave us this, guys.
Yeah,
I
because
cannot see
I think
where,
it costs more. I think it
because
costs more.
exactly their quotes are always exorbitant. So why is it that this is the only money that they spend? I don't believe it.
8 million,
I
Don't
don't
believe
believe
it.
it either.
eight
Don't believe it.
million, 8 million. But hold on,
Yes, me don't believe it.
for 4 million for state dinner?
So if them appear how much you want bottle of champagne, why you think a state dinner go cost less than that? What's wrong
No,
with you,
I'm
Andrew?
just I'm just looking at the spit in the Jamaica in the face of
No, but guess what?
Jamaican.
No, the prime minister say most cost $7 million.
See there, see there now. And this is not an
Jamaica is
attack
not a
on
real
on.
place.
I mean, this is not an attack on the JLP or the government. But what we're trying to do now is to say, help me to make sense of this. $4 million to feed house slaves who gathered to welcome the grandchildren
Massa,
or the grandchild and his
massa,
wife
massa.
who represent Massa, like $4 million of taxpayer money. So like this not make no sense.
When we
Hello,
talk about
me glad they say
feminism,
taxpayers' money. Sorry, Kamala. Me glad they say because me tell you something with Jamaican. Me mean the Jamaican people who vote. A lot of them don't know that a lot of time when they hear the government go up and stand up and say, this is what we're spending on this. A few with money where we work hard for. Some we can't even buy chicken, but no more. Because of $300 a pound. And if there are $4 million, I treat people who that carry a barrel of food, come feed themselves. I am not here for
that's
it.
why they keep the people uneducated and undereducated because
Yes.
Yep.
educated people would never put up with this foolishness.
Hey, to
So
be
they don't
completely
want to
fair
keep
though.
them. They want to keep them uneducated and undereducated because when they are like that, they keep going to them for money and they have this God complex. You understand? They put the politicians on a pedestal. You understand? They treat them. They treat them like gods and kings and queens. Neo-colonialism. That's what it's called.
Mhm, mhm.
To be
You
And
completely
hold
understand?
fair
on,
though.
hold on, hold on. And not only that, don't forget this. It is also like Stockholm syndrome as well.
It is quite right.
So don't
Quite
forget
right.
that.
And you can't
Hey,
cause listen, them will help you, them will cost you for the people them, you know.
Mhm.
When you say hey, it's foolishness you're doing, then will cost you for them. So you have to be very, very careful. Because I mean Jamaicans are such weird people. I remember I used to dance on the North Coast years ago in another life. And I I
Which you still do on
yes,
social
I
media.
still dance. I
Yes,
still
yes.
dance. But not on the North Coast anymore. Anyway, I was performing at a hotel and I needed to use the bathroom. I needed to find the bathroom because that was my first show at that hotel. And I signaled to one of the person obviously worked there. You understand him, a van him, whether him was a concierge or a butler or whatever. Just to point me to the restroom. I went there first to him. Just to point me to the no, another person, a white person, went to him, signaled to him immediately after me. He ignored me and went to her. This is probably about 8 years ago. He ignored me and went to her. That time, I want use the bathroom, right? So I go to him and say, "Hello, can you please point me to the bathroom?" Him dismiss me. It's over there. You see, when me come out, a man ready to take me on. If I don't see him talking to the guests, and I'm rude to have interrupted him. I said, but I signaled to you before. The guest is more important. The guest is standard. I said, sir, I wanted to use the bathroom. Would you prefer if your guest see me wet up myself out here in front of you? Is that what you would have preferred? Anyway, I just brought that case up to show you the mindset of a lot of Jamaican people where they actually believe that white people are more important than them.
Makes
And
sense.
a lot of, no, mind you, this was a long time ago. This was about 8 years ago. But a lot of them, especially the older ones, are still caught up in this mindset. I find that the younger people are really not into the. When you talk to young people, them bonfire upon these people. Them not interested in nothing to do with these royal people. These royal people. But the older people is like them still stuck in this colonial mindset where they feel they need to hero worship. You know, I've been, well, you would have noticed that I've been very vocal in the last couple of weeks from the reggae Grammy time come right up on
Jeez.
things to do with cultural appropriation, even from before the reggae Grammy, with even the visit of the royal couple. I've been very vocal about how Black people perceive themselves in relation to white people. And white is that we're always so subservient. And we it's like we think so them better than we. You understand? Now a lot of people I hear much to my disgust, a lot of people talking about we these why are we trying to make these people pay for the sins of their ancestors? And I keep saying, but we are suffering. We are suffering for the sins of their ancestors. So why shouldn't they pay? They
Stockholm
got
Ancestors.
syndrome.
reparations. They
Stockholm
Yeah,
got
syndrome.
exactly, it is
but I
Stockholm.
keep, I keep saying it to Angela. Like even now, we still have foot the bill. Like you
We
have all
are.
these,
We
you have
are. Look at look.
all of the
Let us not
French
even
territories who
let us
still
not even
pay.
talk about us. Let us talk about Haiti.
Yeah.
Yeah, like no, yeah, I don't have to mention Jamaica for even highlight because I said to Andrew for I was like all the French territories still pay a tax to
Still
France to this
paying.
day.
Still paying. I
All of
just
them
heard
still are paying
yesterday.
money, and I'm in the back of my mind. I'm like, so what France I do for them? Everybody are dead for
Nothing.
hungry, and I wish part
Look, look,
where
look
they come from?
what
Where you pay the money from?
just yesterday there was an article stating that Harvard University is about to pay reparations to the descendants of the black people who were affected by their involvement in slavery. So I'm waiting to see what comes of that, you know. But
Interesting.
trust me, we people is like I think that Jamaicans tend to live in a bubble, and when I talk, I do most of my podcast, my blogging right now on TikTok.
TikTok. Yeah.
And when I talk, I say, but people don't realize that racism is at its worst right now. It's worse than it has ever been. The thing is that you're not seeing it. It's not overt, but it's at its worst. And we are just one natural disaster. It don't even have to be a natural disaster or a man-made disaster. We're just one disaster
A
away
way to see how
from
serious.
the brunt of being the brunt of racism. Like what happened to the Afghanis, what happened to the Syrians,
You know see what happened with the people in the Ukraine.
In
the
They
Ukraine,
never
right?
Africans.
them
You
never
take the word
realize
right out of my mouth.
them never realize how racist some of the people in Belarus are until them say, hey, guess what? We take
It's not
everybody else
just
so white, we not
not
take you know.
Belarus, it's Poland everywhere, Ukraine everywhere. It's just that Europeans are racist. And it's something that we have known, but we just ignore it. No, yesterday an article came out that Germany is evicting the Afghan refugees that they had out of their state-run facilities to make way for the Ukrainian refugees.
Wow. Yeah, I think I saw something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, there are approximately 12,000 Afghan refugees in Germany. And so far, Germany has taken in over 300,000 Ukrainian refugees. And they want to evict the 12,000 for the 300 odd thousand.
That's
No,
crazy.
tell me that makes sense. And I
That
mean with 12 hours, with 12 to 24 hours notice. So we're digressing, but the fact is Jamaicans are living in a bubble and they think that it's like they don't realize that these people don't change. They are just as racist. Don't think that these people are less racist than their ancestors. They just learn to smile more
Yep, and give you that nod.
and give you the nod.
But before we
Andrew.
move on, hold on, Gio. I want to wrap this up real quick because we were supposed to be talking about the KC situation. Something stood out to me in this budget printout. If you notice, in terms of cultural performers, y'all notice that they get
Fifty
10 cents.
thousand
50
dollar.
grand.
Well, me call it 10 cents out of the dollar.
Yep.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? They get 10 cents out of the dollar, the lowest amount. And this the biggest thing out of
I don't
Jamaica.
sorry for them.
I mean, it's not a matter of sorry for them though, Kamla. It is.
I'm not surprised and
It
I'm not
goes to
sorry for
show.
them.
It goes to show that Jamaicans, in terms of the government, whether it's this government or government prior or whatever, they just don't acknowledge culture. Because how can
Mhm.
you give that 50 grand?
It's not that they don't acknowledge it, it's just that they know that 50 grand is a lot of money to these people, and these people will run and take and grab it up. First of
And in
all,
truth and in fact, 50
oh
grand isn't
dear
really a
you
lot.
have these people touching the Nyabingi drum. How dare you? How
Wow.
dare you have the descendants of your colonizers who we have beaten the Nyabingi drum for touching the Nyabingi drum?
And the
All
rest
right.
of them, if you beat for that, you know, can't really
But
beat them,
that
and the
was a
rest of
part
them
of the
beat for that.
cultural, but that was a part of
See,
the cultural
the
performance,
minister, the
wasn't it?
minister, the minister of culture don't sell out. The rest of them should I say no, we're not actually helping their
Exactly.
sell out efforts. So the rest of them
Exactly.
to get beaten for themselves, and for them get 50 grand or whatever piece of the 50 grand them get, I for them business that, and if you take whatever them get, because that was just stupid. That
That's why I
was
say I'm not sorry for them.
100% stupid.
That's
Shell
why I say
Jamaica.
I'm not sorry for them. How can you have your the descendants, the direct descendants of your I mean, the queen and her family represents the people who enslaved us, colonized us for centuries, and you have these people's descendants touch something as sacred as our ancestral drum.
All right. You know what? We should have saved this
Um,
for them time.
because look, if well, two something I have to say. If you look back at the breakdown of that, and you look, there's so many things like it just exorbitant compared to $50,000. But we can always break that down again. Even if you look at the government, don't have vehicle, could have did them could have escort them in where they rent them from. They import them from foreign as a rental or what? Because me not get it. Who for vehicle them run, they rent and how much it costs. Like we
Because
Andrew
the
them
cost of
travel
the
in.
printing at the stationery, the
It may
printing at the
say, it may
stationery
just go
was
figure go to more than
was
where
more
culture
than the
yard get.
cultural performance. Exactly. I'm
Yes.
not sorry for them.
Exactly.
I'm not sorry for
Exactly.
them.
So I'm gonna move away from this. This I figure breakdown one next time, Andrew, because I want to say, and I'm speaking specifically to Kamla.
Uh-huh.
Remember back in the day when our people used to tell stories, and not they used to tell our history in story form
Yeah.
from generation to generation. Back in the day when our people used to teach their descendants the herbs, the different herbs and
Yeah.
bush that they can use to heal and all of that. All of them something they gone. Who
No,
teaches our because
they're not gone.
well gone in the sense where it is not the majority that is
Better you
that
say that,
exists
but
out
it's not
there,
gone.
and you find it in very deep rural communities. The
But
thing,
it's
the
still
thing,
there.
yeah, but the thing that takes precedence now is the bleaching, and them. Those are the things what influence people.
But,
We're
but
not
can I tell you
comfortable in
something?
ourselves.
Can I tell you something? This is because of cultural appropriation.
Mhm.
Our culture has been appropriated to the
Mhm.
point where it
No,
has
no,
been
no, 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 no,
diluted.
no, no, no. Say it in the layman terms.
Say it
They
now the
have
real
stolen
Jamaican.
our culture.
All right.
They have watered down our culture to they have demonized. I used that example the other day on my one of my TikTok videos for Americans to understand what I'm talking about when I talk about how the white man has obliterated our culture. Let's take woke, the term woke, wokeism. Remember, woke became popular about 10 to 15 years
Years
ago.
ago, right?
Remember what woke stood for? When a man walk up to you and say, "Stay woke, brother," or "Stay woke, my brother," what did that used to mean?
Be conscious, be
Be
aware
conscious of what?
of whatever we, in terms of, all right, I'm just gonna say it in terms of what's the new movement?
The struggle, the
Yeah, but
BLM.
I'm trying to find the American term that they use recently since the whole, protesting thing, Black Lives Matter type of vibe. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
It was about racial struggle,
Hmm.
about white privilege.
Hmm.
That's what wokeism started as. What is woke culture now?
Yeah,
Everything we have to
yeah,
do with you as soon as you pick up on some kind of struggle now, you're woke. If you mention anything that
If
has to
you
do with
are
any
struggling with
subcultural group, that
LGBTQ, is woke.
everything can be woke now. Exactly. So it's like
Transgender is woke.
anything is
If
woke.
you
Yeah.
support if you support Leah Thomas, you're woke. If you
right.
wear black nail polish and you're a man, you're woke. They have
Everything. Everything woke now.
appropriated. That is what you call cultural appropriation. What? Right? They have taken over the culture, watered it down, and then turn it into something bad. Because now, guess what? When people tell you, say, "Oh, you're so woke," they're using it as an insult.
Yeah,
If this
So they
is
have
supposed to be
taken
exactly.
something that was good and turn it into something that now has a negative connotation.
Nation. Mhm.
And that's what these people do. They appropriate our culture, water it down, and turn it into bad. Over here,
All right.
Americans are on a movement where they're trying to they're trying to change the name dreadlocks, take the dread out of it because that was the colonizers' way. When they say we have dreadlocks, dread is something bad,
Yeah, dread and terrible.
terrible. I
Hmm.
was about to say that.
Hmm. Hmm.
You understand? So they are trying to change the perception and say, but there's nothing dread about our locks. Because I'm segueing right into the argument with the here and the KC.
We're gonna reach at the school. Exactly. Like all that we're
I
talking about
am
now,
just
we're gonna reach at the
showing
school.
you where it is that why we brain stay so. It's
Hmm.
because of cultural appropriation. Them weave them way into the culture. Them weave them way into the culture until they make it look like basically something is bad. Now look at them young man they here. Look how them. If my son cut him here, so I say, Lord God, boy, you have a nice, decent haircut. Seriously, no fade, even. What
What
is
was?
wrong with the
Hold on.
hair?
All right. First of all, what was the issue? What did the principal, have an issue with? Was it
It didn't
the
conform to
afro?
school standards.
And what is the school standards though? What?
Okay, first and foremost, I can speak as a parent of a past student. My son graduated from KC in 2018, my eldest child.
Mhm.
Right?
And this is
When
why I invited you on to as well, Kamala, because of course, you know about the school rules and all of that. So kind of
mind
break
you,
it down for us.
mind
Explain
you,
to us.
when I was there, when my son was there, I we had a warm time. Every 2 weeks, literally. Every 2 weeks we get called. The hair need to cut. Right? No, the thing about it is with the rules, I would say for Casey is one of the strictest I've seen in an institution where the grooming is concerned. First and foremost, the hair has to be uniform. Basically, you can't have a fade.
It have to be one level.
It have to be one level. And they're very particular about that. The next thing they're particular about is the height of the hair. You
Mhm.
understand?
Mhm.
Back in them time, that them was saying 1 centimeter. I think no. What I'm hearing from people who I know that are still here, if the principal pass you and try to pinch your hair, him not supposed to pinch anything, right? Which is absolutely ridiculous.
It's absurd.
Now, the thing about this thing, so with my son, as I was saying, I'm just giving you the example of my son. He was miserable. He loved KC, mind you, but when it came on to the grooming, and he's mixed, right? Jamaican, we call it coolie picnic.
Mhm.
Some hair grow very quickly and it's not a tight curl. So, children with more African hair, it grows slower. His hair is a little, if you know anything about hair type and hair texture, his hair would classify as a 3A type texture. So it grows almost straight with a little curl. So it grow high quickly. You understand? So if you by in a short time, his hair would have to be cut. And it made him miserable because as when he was growing up, he was very, very conscious about the shape of his head. Him claims him head small, so him don't like to cut him hair low. So
Right.
he was very, very uncomfortable. He had social anxiety over it.
Wow.
You understand? And I'm saying to myself, no, you won't even ensure that your kids, the kids that attend your school, are comfortable with them appearance. Suppose like somebody, one of them have a scar in them head or
Yeah.
something, because
Mhm.
those things happen. My brother, for instance, was in a very, very bad accident as a teenager and wore his hair high because he had scars in his head. He went through a windscreen and had scars. You understand? So him always did wear him hair high because he want to hide the scars.
But what I want to ask though, guys, do you think that this is, residual,
It is.
effects from back in the day when the Brits and the Spanish and all of them people kind
It
of
go.
colonize us? Is
It
it
goes
because
right back to the
schools,
argument I was giving.
hold on,
So,
because schools in Jamaica, churches, and every school is aligned, not every school, but majority of the schools are aligned to a church.
They all are.
Okay, see, there you go. I was even thinking about more public than private. And church and state and what, they're all aligned. And I'm saying to myself, is it that because this principal now, of course, should be a younger generation principal,
They are
is
the
thinking,
worst.
is thinking more like principals that were taught under a backer order? I really don't get it.
I disagree with you. This the principals from when we were in high school were a lot less. They were a lot more lenient. They were a lot less pervasive. Let me tell you something. You see them nowadays principal here, especially the young one them. As soon as something becomes a trend, they try to outlaw it.
Mm.
For instance, nobody had a problem with Afro until Afro became a trend again.
Hold on. So this what we're looking at now is
Yeah.
some cases
KC
of
back
old
in
boys
77.
with afro.
Yeah.
And apart, the one with the glasses looked like he had like a special style, a design right
Yes.
there.
The Curtis, what them they call it? Tony C. Tony
Mm-hmm.
C. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because back in those days, children were not judged as harshly as they are now. I put up a post on my Facebook page yesterday. I don't know if you saw it. I went to Campion. And when I was at Campion in the 90s, I bleached my hair. And nobody had an issue. You know who did have an issue with it? My father. My father said me back go make them dye my hair. But back when I was in high school, when I was in third form, streaks came in, blonde highlights. Remember when highlights came in? They used to call it streaks.
Mm-hmm.
And
mhm.
me go hairdresser son go tell my hairdresser say I want streaks. And she never understand. And dab out part of my hair, like bleach out parts of my hair. And so I had blonde patches. Cause she just put the brush and dry it. And I had no issue with school. Is when my father see me here. Cause every day me go home, is either me having setter or my head me have on a tie head. Cause me know me can't make that is this. But then I went to school every morning with my hair and they were fine with it. You understand? And a classmate was on there reminded me that it's S. Curly used to work at high school.
Mm.
We were allowed to express ourselves individually, and once we were appropriately groomed, they didn't bother us. We were
But
allowed
wait,
to wear sleeper earrings.
but hold on. Where does grooming thing come from, guys? And I think I
You have
want to
to see.
bring
You have
this
to
to Shells and
understand.
Chio.
You have to understand something, Angela. Like, it's not like so when they made schools initially in Jamaica was made for us. That's also something that people don't like. So a hill that people like. Some people would rather die on than like even try and debate all. But it wasn't made for us. I went to JC, right? When JC started as what they call Drax Free School, and it started in Saint Anne, and it was made by a guy who was actually a plantation owner, right? He made that. That's exactly what it was, and started it off of some £5,000, and then over the years moved from there to Saint Andrew and then move from one specific point in Saint Andrew to figure out Hope Road. But when it was started, it wasn't necessarily started for people like us. Just like when policing came about, policing didn't come about because it was necessary. Policing came about
Protect.
for
To
people
Right.
protect the
like
slave
us,
owners.
right?
Mhm.
It came about for people like us to keep us under the heel of these people. Just like me as a talk, the reason why me use the name Real Jamaican, I represent myself, like, same to me, I say, like, the fact that we even still teach English and English is not our language. All them different things, like, all it has to mean something. We have all these systems in place that were given to us by people who don't look like us, who were never in favor of us, but more so in favor to the monarchy. And we continue to perpetuate the same cycles, like, oh, your hair for always cut white because our hair couldn't be groomed like white people's hair, and our hair was always unacceptable.
There
So
you
we
go.
have to groom it to a certain standard where they did not. Because for them hair flow, and what they call
Because
locks is when
their
them can
hair
run them
grew
hand through
long
them
and
hair.
ours grew high.
Exactly. So it's all these different standards that they came up with, and all them now perpetuate, just they're just existing perpetuity going down the lines. Like, at what point do you realize that this was not for me, and me not need this no more? I know my own, me no want it.
Shells?
I don't. I am still at a loss as to why all these rules still exist. Because, especially to the fact that we live in Jamaica, predominantly black people of,
Mhm.
I mean, of the type of hair that people, me see them a number the ear now with letters. You have
Three
4C,
C and
you have
4A
4B, you
and
have
Like
all
Kamala just
sorts
did.
of something. Yes, so that we are predominantly of those type of hair, black people here, normal hair. We don't mix with something there. Most of us are of that distance. So me not get it. I am still at a loss as to what this man, slave driver man, could be talking about. If you pinch the hair, you're not supposed to feel nothing. What am I talk about?
you
Is
see,
he giving the parents money? So you tell me, say no
thank
Rasta
you.
pitney,
That's what
no
I
no
just
lock,
asked.
no go KC then, right? Rastafarians
I
are not
I
allowed
tell
in
them
KC.
say it's too expensive. It's expensive to be forking out money to
Of
cut my
course,
people
Every
here
two
every
weeks.
minute.
Yeah.
You understand? And let me tell you, that child protests so much as him leave him start growing here. He would even go graduation because him refused to cut him here our last time. He refused to go to the graduation.
why
So
are
You
pretty
we
much,
still
understand?
there?
so
Why are we
hold on.
still there at that place?
So can we safely say that it is here discrimination at
It
case?
is. It is.
And it's
And I
very
said it
sad though,
open. I say it
And what
openly
about your
all the
rights?
time. It is here discrimination.
And
It
what
is.
about
But
your
it is,
And
rights?
it's not just KC doing it. It's not
No,
just
no, no,
KC
no,
doing
no.
this.
yeah,
Because my
all
A
son
of
lot
went to
of
them.
these
Monroe.
schools are
My
doing
son
it.
went to Monroe, and I can tell you, not as
JC,
strident as what I said there, but they
they
do
But
it.
JC
my
used to,
daughter is in high school now, and
JC
thank
did
God
it. JC did it when I was there too. Like, them used to talk
JC is
about the
still doing
hair
it.
and
But
all
why
them
are
JC
we
still
is
do it.
still
doing it.
there?
My best
Why are we
friend,
still
my
there?
daughter's best friend goes to JC, and he must complain. He basically have hair similar to my son own, and he was complaining the other day, so they make him have to cut him hair down way. I can't understand it though. As my
Me
daughter
either.
is now leaving high school, and um I'm just happy that she's on study leave now because a new principal started. The older one retired, and one young one with look younger than me to me started, and she's on this whole crusade. Them can't use gel, them can't wear afro, them can't wear headband. Them,
Afro.
I
can you
I think
imagine?
about it like I
And
think about it like
anybody know my daughter here is always in an afro.
for
And
me,
she
I
and
I, I see it as well. I like to call intercultural cannibalism. It's
it is.
almost to the point that we have people who have been locked into this mindset, and all their job is to just
Police.
Agent.
internalize
Police.
and cannibalize your own culture to
It's
make
coming
it
from the
seem like you
church,
are.
But
And
that's
the
coming
why,
funny,
from the church.
hold on. So that's why I brought it up to say that church and school are aligned.
It's coming from the church.
And
A
and
lot of
hold on,
these
and hold
principals.
on. Could it
Mhm.
also be coming from stakeholders as well? People who sit on the board, the chair,
But
in
you,
terms
you,
of
you,
passing it down to the
but that's
principals.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The first point you made is that a lot of these schools are run by churches. Many of them are run by the Catholic Church,
Mhm.
Anglican churches, the Baptist churches. So a lot of them nowadays are being run by the Pentecostal churches. And what you have to realize is that these churches on the school board, you
Mhm.
have a lot of pastors. and elders in the church. And the part they select a principal that has to be very religious. You understand? And so they are passing their religious doctrines on to these children. You understand? So when you go to school, if you go to Catholic school, you know, say you have to know the Hail Mary, you have to know the Nicene Creed, you have to know all of these things. You have to go church, even though me use the skull it, you have to
Mass.
go mass. You have to go mass every Friday morning at a certain time. You have to go Catholic mass, or so they basically project their
Indoctrinate.
values, indoctrinate the children. You understand? So it don't matter to them what background these children coming from, if they're coming from a Muslim background or a Rastafarian background or whatever, they don't care. Or a lot of children nowadays are agnostic, believe it or not. You
Yeah,
understand?
yeah, yeah.
And so even though they're I became agnostic at 13. Even though I was a kid, what made me agnostic is the fact that I was at Catholic school and the Catholic priests them couldn't even explain their own religion to me. And these are the Jesuit priests. It's like, if you don't know, you expect, come on, this is foolishness. At 13. You understand? And you find that a lot of this is happening as children open them eyes. You understand?
The funny
So
thing is,
the past, those principles though, a lot of them are church elders.
the
Hold on.
funny thing
That's where the
is,
problem starts.
if
Hold on,
if
Shells wanted to say something, but
Oh.
because Shells hardly,
Go ahead.
have an input. Go ahead.
No, because when I look at a KC and a JC, and yeah, I know there are schools that are available, but so many parents would break their necks to send their children to these quote unquote what you call traditional schools,
Traditional schools.
right? And it's like a cult in some of
Let
these
me tell you
schools.
about it.
It
So
Let me
is.
tell you
and
about it. KC is a cult.
It
And
is.
mind you, my son enjoyed his experience at KC. And
JC is a cult too.
KC, you know, but I'm talking about my husband is a JC pass student.
Calabar.
Exactly. So we
And
know.
and
So
I
we know.
cannot talk nothing bad about JC. And my son, my
Exactly.
younger son, from him was 3 years old, him say him want to go to JC. I tell him, no man, go to Campion. And said, no.
My father went there, he taught there, and then my older brother was there as school captain, and then I went there and like, oh yeah.
My
The
husband went
alumni.
there.
so we are in
alumni.
cult. We are in cult.
Yeah, but
Inculcating
it's
this,
more.
this,
But you see, the old boy, them is the one when we perpetrate it more than anything
The alumni.
and
Yeah.
indoctrinate.
You can't
You
go around it.
understand? You can't tell them nothing wrong about them school.
Can't go
Yeah,
around
but
it.
no, but the funny thing is, if most of them thought, because like when we did that, like me and my brother, like we actually did organize like revolts with their school. Like my brother went down as like the worst school captain they ever had because
Wow.
we did things that they hid from the media because they didn't want people to know that they actually had these things occurring on campus.
Oh
So
my
we
God.
literally shut down blocks and make sure it's a class never even keep because we never like where they're at. But
Oh, you were in the time when the bad guys were there.
oh yeah, man, when we there school, I'll be a gunman there school. So like anything could happen. But
Ooh, I grew up right behind the JC, you know, so you can't tell me nothing. It's Rafinha me come from born and grow.
see there,
You can't tell me nothing
know.
about JC when we don't know already. I'm a
So
married to a JC old boy.
the funny thing is,
Hey, can't get rid of it.
even if they were sticking to their traditions, right, and even if them not lean into them religious principles, like a real religious person will be like, hey, you know what, black people are more strongly descended from Israelites, and then if you even want to think about it, like your hair is supposed to be a sign of your strength if
Yeah,
you're
but this
Israelite.
is
Like
not.
you don't cut that foolishness out and make it go on
Christianity
about
is
it
not.
ways.
But you see, that is where the problem lies, you know.
That is where the whitewashing of religion comes in.
But that's the point I'm making. You see, we keep hearing that black people are the original Jews and Christians and whatever. Black people were not Christians. Christ came after during all of this, right? What
Facts.
Christianity represents is the indoctrination of black people to control them. And until people realize that we're not going to go nowhere, and I'm not going to impart my views on people still, but that is where the problem starts because we want to condemn other aspects of slavery, but we don't want to condemn the religious indoctrination that came with slavery.
Right.
You understand? Because it is all a part of it, you know.
Yeah, because at one point slavery moved from being this journey to find spices and whatever to mission, a Christian mission for bringing the
Exactly.
Bible to the people. I'm like,
To bring the
so
Bible to the people and turn
after
them
a
into
while, when you
millions.
realize,
A lot of people keep forgetting the Great Crusade,
There you go.
and
And
that's
the
where it all
crusade,
started.
and the crusade used to kill. They used to kill people. Don't
Right, right,
anybody
yeah,
who were
right.
dissenters
Mhm.
were killed.
That was the Great Crusade. I mean,
Exactly.
it is there, and then
Holy wars.
you see
No,
in
that and
today's
that brings me
hold
to the
on.
question, Andrew.
To wait the camera. You see today where they're having crusades across the island and in pitch tent and all of this to save souls. It is the same way. It's just that it was kind of changed in this day and age in terms of, as you say, it's not a holy war, it's not a bloodshed war no more, but it's a fight to win souls. And when people hear we say these things, they look at us like we have 10 heads, or who are these people talking,
But that's what
or
I did
we are
ask the
blaspheme.
pastor. That's what I did ask the Catholic priest when I was 13. If your commandment is your fifth commandment is thou shalt not kill. How is it that you call yourself Christians and you have holy wars and you talk about these holy wars where people are killed? You actually teach us in religious education about the holy wars. Yet last week you told us about the 10 commandments, and the fifth commandment was thou shalt not kill.
It's the
So
new and the old. Hold on, Kamala. It's the new and the old. All right. It's the new
no,
and the
all
old.
of this was
So
in
the
the
old.
first. No, all of this, because people try to say that to me too, and I said no. All of this was in the Old Testament.
Exactly. And as I said, the New Testament come and show say, we're not gonna deal with that again. I'm just saying, hey, anyhow, you had mentioned earlier that in schools, and we're talking about in particular KC, that any trend that has nothing to do with the kids not getting high grades or whatever, it doesn't affect their performance in schools. Why do we still need to pay attention to it? You say if
The man
Afro
banned
become
Clarks,
a
you know.
style,
The
a
man
what?
banned Clarks. Him banned
ooh,
Clarks.
to Mr. Clarks,
So
everybody
so
Banned
want.
so
Clarks.
so apart from colonial effects in terms of what we're still suffering from, it is more of a self projection in terms of a ego trip that
But
is going on,
that's what I've been saying,
and
because
more, yeah.
why is it that they can't standardize the dress code for all high schools in terms of the grooming, a standard dress code and grooming policy?
This is where I
So
go now,
therefore,
where I ask a question: are we regressing as a
of
people when it
course,
comes to the school system? Are we gonna overall? Because I'm glad you brought that up to say, why not just come up with a
standard,
one size fit all type of thing
exactly,
in this case then?
exactly.
See, what I can answer that question thoroughly, and it's as simple as this. The mold was created so that you could fit black people into the white industrial system.
Quite
You
Right.
go
right.
to
True,
school,
true. Yes, Gio.
you dress the way we design you to dress, you cut your hair the way we find acceptable, and then you
Mm-hmm.
get the job that we prescribe based on whatever qualifications you've achieved. All of this is in some way, shape, or form chips away at who we are at our core on any cultural level that you can think of. So everything that you could see as a part of your natural design, it just
Been stripped
slowly
away.
begins
Been
to
stripped away.
disappear
Hmm.
because you are taught that. And I remember once I posted in a Facebook group, one of the largest Jamaican Facebook group, when I posted about people speaking, learning patois, right? And I remember I could see all of the old heads and were coming, but no. It's either you speak properly or you don't. And everyone is meant
Speak
to learn. And
properly.
so, and the back of
Properly.
my mind, I was like, who told you that the way you speak is proper?
It's
Because even if
properly.
you understand it, old old English is not the English that we know now, and it wasn't. And it developed over time, and all them that do was try and perfect fit them form. Why is it that we can't accept our own? So when I posted this JSTOR document, which was from the first edition of the bilingual education program that they tried in Jamaica, and I was like, yo, children who learn in Pata actually outperform children who learn English by leaps and bounds. Everybody's like, oh, I've never heard of that before. I'm like, yeah, because the same people who start the program kill the program like 3 years after them started because they never want to invest in and saying, okay, let's turn all our them in a part. Let's teach our people the language that majority of the country
Yeah.
speak.
Hmm.
Like it would have made sense,
Let me say your
you know?
chat bad.
Yeah, first
Yeah.
thing they want to lick you with how you chat bad. And then the
Yeah.
funny thing is this, and I say to people all the time, I remember I say to people, it's a concept in my mind of two Jamaicas. One Jamaica is the Jamaica where they sit on the parliament and for them friend them around the private sector. And the other Jamaica is everybody who talk like how me prefer to talk. I mean, I like English too tough, we can use it, but we just don't like it. And the only time there's a blurring of that line is when there is a political agenda at play. So as soon as politicians want to vote, them there on stage and Roger Clark before him did that, he was a dagger master, a dance back a girl, but the same politician people them hate dancehall and they want to put it on their rendition.
No, but you talk
them
about that.
endorse carnival, right? And then at the
Listen,
same
you
time, them
you
people
don't have to
want
go
to
no
tell
further.
Andrew Wallace want to tell about him run boat a female. Andrew version of run boat when him take one half a goat and put it on one grill up at the big house him have and say them a run boat. Although him used to pour in, but him just don't want people know that coming on and cousin them and the man tell me say even when them let the pit and never go to school, him never even want to walk the same walk them walk him on, them understand say him expect more of himself because of how him family raised it. Right?
Okay.
At the same whiteness were broken at them from early on to make them feel like so this is how you should behave. And then anybody else that don't behave like this, something wrong with them.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you
Like
something.
30 seconds because I want to move on to the next
All right, but that thing that you mentioned a while ago about dancehall music is real because let me tell you something. Don't forget, say everybody in this last election campaign have a dub.
Be a dub player.
True.
Be a dub, and then within 6 months after election, it's Andrew that on the stage and go against dancehall music.
True.
Most
So
people
I mean,
see it. Them blind trade, them
though.
fool.
And them only spend $50,000 on culture yard.
I'm not surprised.
All right. What are they refuting?
Him say it's not quite so it go.
How?
Very good. He's trying to save face because what happened now, him said them never get locked out, but we saw the students outside. So if them never lock out, why were they outside? Because let me tell you something. And why me upset? Because if you put out a child after you send them to school, a child is a minor, right? Follow me. Work with me now. A child is a minor, right? Under Jamaican laws, a minor is supposed to always be in the care of an adult. So when a parent sends his child to school, it is the automatic assumption that the school administration is now responsible for said child.
Right.
If you are sending my child out of school without my knowledge, because if school dismiss, it is automatically understood that children must go home back into the care of their parents. Or if something should happen at school, and it's very, very explicit, The laws of Jamaica are very explicit. If something should happen at school where the child gets sick and the child has to go home, the school has the right that the school is supposed to notify the parent.
Right.
I see all of these boys standing up outside the school gate. And from what I am understanding, the parents were not notified.
But how could they have been notified when them pop up at school? Probably gone to work and all them something there.
No, that makes it happened to my son already and now coming to me. May have another story to tell you. Them put out my son already for him here,
But hold on, Kamala, hold on. What we're looking at right now, guys, is evidence that the kids were actually standing outside. Was it their choice to stand outside? I highly doubt it. These kids were actually standing on one side of the gateway, the entrance to the school. And you can see where, I'm not sure if this footage is originally from the Star or it was contributed.
It was on Facebook all over.
All right, cool. So Star grab it and they put their watermark.
The watermark on it.
All right.
Because I have it without the watermark. But what I was saying to you that what happened to my child when he was in either third or fourth form, they sent him out. Claims that them sent him to go get him haircut. And he was held up and robbed. Now, if you know where Casey is. Casey's in a very volatile area.
On North Street.
North Street leads into some serious communities that can get very, very volatile. Right? Now, for him to go to a barber that was near enough, he had to walk through an area where he was held up at knife point and his phone was stolen. You understand? It happened to him one time when them sent him home already for him here because he was going to try and get his hair cut. and I couldn't find my child. Somebody took him to the police station.
Didn't they say, hold on, didn't they say that the principal had given the students ample time to address the issue based on what I've read? Because they're saying that it's just not a one-off thing where these kids would just pop up at school and the principal said that no, you can't enter on the property. But in fact, they've been given several warnings, prior to all of this happening.
I
Are
don't
you
know
aware
about
of
that.
that, guys? Are you aware of
Not,
that?
but as I said, I can give you from my experience, right? When they are having issue, if if the dean of discipline or the vice principal, because it's not just the principal, it's the dean of discipline, the vice principal, all of them, any of them sit here, and them the first thing them do is put the child in the office and call the parents most of the times. You understand? The
Hold
parents
on, Kamala,
report the
hold on.
child.
Sorry. Hold your point. I don't want to miss it. Yes, Keisha Nicole, this is the point that we were discussing about the here. And, Keisha Nicole said that she was in agreement with the school, of course, setting a rule. I agree with rules, but certain rules just don't make no sense. And
Mhm.
according to when we first heard the story, it is said that the hair cut or the hair of the student, what I mean, it was in an unkept type style or vibe. And so therefore they're asked to go cut them here. So here we are, we're somebody who actually heard the story this week saying that she was in agreement with whatever the principal is asking for in terms of obeying the rules. But clearly the principal to me is just another house slave and another agent. Anyhow, sorry for cutting Kamala. I just wanted to acknowledge Keisha Nicole's comment.
But you
Go ahead.
see, but you see, and let me tell you, I'm gonna carry you back to the case of a student from William Nib High School about 6 months ago who
Mhm.
had long hair. His hair was beautiful, long, flowing, like him just look like a king. Him look regal. A black boy, but him hair grow and his hair was put in a tam, right? And the principal insisted that he was to cut his hair because he was not Rastafarian. You understand? The
Mhm.
mother protested it. It reached to the case where it reached in the papers, but he had long, beautiful hair. And I said at that point, because a lot of people were in agreement with the school that boy is not supposed to have long hair, right? And is a boy and he must cut his hair. But the mother was saying that the child take a Nazarene vow, and just because you take a Nazarene vow doesn't mean that you have to lock your hair. You can grow your. I know a lot of people who take them
Mm-hmm.
Nazarene vow and them
Right.
have hair that is not
Yeah.
locked, but
Right.
they don't cut it. They allow
Mhm.
it to grow out. Even some of those Black Power people, they had their high afro and they took
So
Nazarene vow.
the
So
vow is not to cut your hair,
that's
not
what the
necessarily to
vow
lock it.
is,
Right.
not
Okay.
to lock your hair. You understand?
Right.
And so he was still of the Rastafarian faith, but his hair was not
It's locked. Mhm.
locked.
Mhm.
Anyway, he was made to cut his hair. And at that point, I said, if this happen right now, we're going down a slippery slope. Because once the child hair is presentable, no school principal can determine what hairstyle that child sports. Whether my hair is an afro and I don't want to cut the height of my hair. If because I remember when you used to go to high school and you have the nerd them with them 2 inch hair high and them glasses.
Exactly.
You're basically
The
saying
height up,
you
fade
are
them
not
and the
allowing
big,
nerds
thick
in school
glasses.
anymore because they never used to like cut them hair. You understand? Back in my days, it's so them used to look. But the point I'm making is there is no more individuality. That's what you're saying. Everybody have to have the same
It's
hairstyle
uniform.
and
Right.
the
It's
same
uniformity.
like
Mhm.
drones. So what you are telling me is that you are indoctrinating these kids.
Mhm.
Hmm.
You are
But the
trying
funny
to
thing is, based off
you're
of the
trying to
picture, them,
cancel
based off of the
individuality.
picture, them, Andrew just flick back to her. I remember like when my father passed and some of my father old JC friend them started sending me pictures and I was like, and I remember up to very long time, we still have the yearbook from when my father did it. I was like, I never seen none of them with a clean cut haircut ever. No
There
line
you
up, no
go.
nothing. Like I'll be afro everybody have. But
Because
you
it
know,
was
like
the style. Because it was the
At
style.
the time, everybody was wearing afro.
Mhm.
In the 70s, everybody did have afro going to school.
Even
Black power and
students, hold
all of that.
on, even students that represented KC
There you go.
on Schools Challenge Quiz. Nobody yes and never have no low cut, no gentleman cutter, no priest cutter, no monk cutter, whatever. My thing is, and this is always my argument, right? And at times I always ask this in as men, even females too, but I'm talking about men in our natural state, in our most natural state, when we now apply comb, shear, or razor to our face and our head, we would have look unkept, we would have look shabby, we would have look quote unquote homeless, and that's nature. That's us being natural.
That is
true. And I always argue this with Shaki to say, but that's our natural state. That's our natural being. So where this idea come from to come up with unkept and not so presentable, and you have to present
from people who never used to bathe.
My friend, tell them again, my friend, tell them again. Me talk to them about it all the while, Tell them all the while,
People beard. But on a serious note, though, and I think it come back down to what Keisha and we were talking about. I get it. Business. Somebody say, oh, dress a particular way, play the part and look the part. But what part? And whose culture? And whose teachings? And whose doctrine?
Whose standards?
Aren't we supposed to be learned people?
Yeah.
So we are learned people, and we are trying to come from a place where we were actually told everything to do, like we were prisoners. And we're now learned people, meaning things should be evolving.
Mm-hmm.
And intelligence should be the predominant trait in most of us, where we should be at a place where no single body, be him slave master or not, puppeteer or not, shouldn't be able to tell a parent or a child how they should groom their hair.
Exactly.
What is the norm? Who is going to dictate that norm? What kind of psychological effect is it going to have on our children when they're being told that this is what you do, this is what you don't do?
They might cross a line.
Exactly. So where we stop, since we are intelligent, learn people, where do we stop? When does the classism stop amongst us right here? So in Jamaica, we are predominantly all our way have nappy ear.
Yeah, kaya.
They call it nappy ear. We hear a kaya nappy.
Call it all sort of something.
Because you don't tell the Indian girl not to let down her hair.
True. And cut it. That's right.
Exactly. Nobody's telling that.
And the Syrian.
Or the Chinese or whoever they are. You don't tell them to cut their ear to the scalp. They're allowed to wear their hair at a certain length, but I just always the black pitney them get picked pan and told what to do. And we sit down and we send we pitney them got the same school. A year time we line up. I would pay any money to get them into the same school. Who are investing? Why can't we invest and make some schools that will allow children to express themselves freely, not in a disrespectful manner, not to not wash your hair and groom it. We're not talking about that. We're talking about it. But they are not highlighted. Every time we look in the media,
listen, campaign is like that. Campaign is like that.
But wait, how much are we?
Guess what now?
How much are we get to you?
You can't go campaign, go trouble campaign, them parents they pick me. You mad?
That's what I say. How much are we poor people pitney apart from education wise and a scholarship?
You know what's funny? Campaign was actually started by someone who went to KC, because Campaign was actually a house at KC.
No, it's not KC, it's George's.
George's?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I went to Campaign.
Facts.
And she's very proud of that.
Yeah, she's very proud of that.
No, not really. It's just the point that
Kamala, you're not proud of going to Campaign? Well, I kind of get it now, because you're not so, as Shells say, so hell-bent on talking about classism and feeling like you're part of a certain class of people.
Right.
I was never like that, because even though I went to Campaign, where I grew up, and the friends that I had, I mean, I was exposed, and then I was exposed at a young age to people from different backgrounds. So I never really, even though I went to Campaign, a lot of people don't know that I went to Campaign. I don't talk about it a lot.
Andrew, Kamala is trying to say she met people like me. People like me used to go down a Campaign, and me and my brother used to go down there. We used to broke out people and get beside me.
Well, nobody never really broke me out while I was at Campaign. I was a nerd. I never broke out when I was at Campaign.
A fun fact, I had a Campaign badge. A crest.
I hope a girl could get you.
No, boys wear the crest, not girls.
I need not to say no more.
I want girl teeth it Gandro. I want girl teeth it Gandro.
Halfway tree cross road and town shell. Because I always wanted to feel like I was going to a prestigious high school. I went to Dunoon.
Wow. You went to what?
Dunoon. So
Dunoon.
Right. So I had a champion crest, and I
so
used
you
to,
put it
on.
I mean?
Yes, man, and take off your Dunoon badge and use the crest. So I was one of them who act as if I wanted to be a house slave, straight up. And it's when we get older, I realize, I'm going to shell this.
But when I was a champion, it never really. I didn't view it that way.
Because you weren't a part of the.
You never there on the outside looking.
I was always a misfit. I was always a misfit.
There you go.
I was even now in society. I'm a medical. When I go to my office, nobody knows. But like if I go to my office and I walk through the lobby,
nobody knows that you're the doctor.
No.
Which is, I saw it forgot. You know what the funny thing is? When me there at Jamaica, me there work in a different place, I used to see people walk in and they're like security guard and them say Siki. And them have a name for everyone. I was one of those people, no matter which one I work, I always knew the names of the security guards. I always knew the names of the people who were the ancillary staff. Because as far as I'm concerned, everybody is functional. And I would never want to level somebody down to their title of what they do. So I never say a security guard and say, oh, Siki. Because the person had a name. Oh, I know them name. I ever have some people in Jamaica where them demean people. And it's a part of the system.
All the time.
Even though we're not talking about the education, it's a part of the system. It's very demeaning the way they bring you down. Right? About whoever someone, or you never be not more than
crabs
security
in a barrel. Crabs
when them say things like that. It's like
even at school, even in school too, where the different ranks when it comes to class, you have A, B, C.
We face that a lot at Champion.
1, 2, 3, 4. What?
That we had a lot of that at Champion. Champion had a lot of classism while I was there.
It's crazy.
And the thing about it is, we basically by the time we graduated, we were kind of like, it didn't show like by the time you reach to upper school, but when you come in, like in first form to about third form, it's very, very rampant. But by the time we know each other and we break down the barriers, by the time we graduate, it's kind of weird, you know.
Because when you get in, as a class is proving ground.
It's very
everybody is trying to know who is who and what your parents do. And by the time they run, everyone's like, oh,
it never really matter.
Exactly.
The thing is, when I was going to primary school, I went to a Catholic primary school, St. Richard's Primary, and to transition from St. Richard's to like a Dunoon tech environment is a total different environment. And at first, I felt like, what the hell am I doing here? Type of vibe. St. Richard's wasn't the elitist, but it had a mixture of.
It was a good school.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm saying.
It is a good school.
Majority. It's very expensive now.
Majority of this, students come from middle class, upper class.
It's an elite. It's an elite school.
Well, I probably, All
I'm telling you, no, it is.
No, it is very expensive.
All right, it was, and this is why I'm going to bring it up. Is because when you try to get your child registered at that school, they used to call it, back in the day, I didn't understand what this means, when they say curry favor. You always say that in Jamaica, where curry it's like classism, you know what I mean? And favoritism. You have to go to the school shelves with your handbag and your keys jingling. And it shows that you drive a car. And it probably sometimes, stake out and look who comes out of what car and who no drive and who walking and property.
You have to start from before the baby born. You have to start doing that from before the baby born to get them in there when they are.
And you get them in there, yeah. So therefore, I mean, I think I was lucky to get in there because exactly, Kamala, is who know who. And it's a Catholic-run school. And I realized that a lot of Catholic schools are like that. Even here in America, the Catholic schools are the private ones too. And
nobody breaking them next to go there. I can't understand why.
I don't know, Bridget. But again, it comes back now. All right, let's focus on moving forward now. And Kamala, you said that the Minister of Education needs to step in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a suggestion from Shells if she has any. Then I go to Gio and then I come to you, Kamala. shells solutions? Where can we
The thing
go?
about it, Andrew, is that the same people who run these schools, everybody is a friend, is a cult. Me just say it. It's like who you're going to complain to and what you're going to fix, because who wants it fixed when the same parents are the ones who are breaking their necks to send their children to these schools? Do you hear any uproar about it? Yeah, talk about it a little bit and then you hear nothing else about it and school goes back to normal and everybody is happy. So I don't know, it's like we have it power in our hand and we do nothing about it. Right now, if you want to homeschool a child, Ministry of Education is going to tell you what you need to do and not do before you can make a decision to school your own pitney where you birth. You understand? So it's like there's so many ways they're trying to keep you in that box so that you don't step out, because a human being on a whole have this need to either enslave somebody or feel like they are gods, that they have the need to be worshipped and they love to have power. And that this is the whole thing, some breed of power struggle going on here. So I cannot think of a solution that will make sense, because the same parents, we have a thing in Jamaica how we stay. You have 100 parents and it's split in two, sometimes like 60, 40, because 60 of them is going to try to outdo this. See it? My child can do this.
But that is
My
why
child can do
that is
that.
why there is educational apartheid in Jamaica.
Yes, so I cannot see a workable solution, Andrew, that's just honest, because if some parents say, all right, let's stick out and have a meeting to let us reform these rules, because everybody need their own individual identity and you cannot take away our children's identity by having them do something that is totally ridiculous, because that's a foolishness if you ask me. That principal are going to say that their hair is not groomed or unkempt, because I do not see it. And you cannot line your hair, or whether or not you can line up your ear and all of them. Something the foolishness, absolute foolishness. But some parents will come to that meeting and they'll agree for the change, and some will ensure that they send their children to the barber like clockwork every couple of days to keep that hair straight. So where do you go? I don't know.
Gio.
Well, I would say it's systemic. It's something that it's coming from slavery. It's coming from all the systems that were put in place after, and it's just the tools that were set out so that we could remain under somebody's heel. If I think about it, it's kind of like what I'm always saying, like we should teach in what is our native language. We should learn in what is our native language so that we can actually progress as a society. But nobody now gonna even think about that. If you can't even wear your hair in a natural state, then like there's no point. Like if it's as simple as your hair, then what your language have to do with this? Screw that. We're not gonna take that, because if we're not take a hair, we're not gonna take how you talk either. And it's just a matter of the systems in place not being created for us. They were created to be worked against us so that we could actually fall in line. That's all it was. Still slavery at the end of the day, we just now call it what it actually is. Because some people want to say, oh, you're woke. But you see the system for what it is, and it's something that, I mean, I look at you whenever Rastaman to Babylon and this and that, but you never realized just entirely what Babylon was until you saw the system for yourself when you grow up and you see it as a whole. You realize none of the things that are in place were for us. And the people who could change it, they benefit from the status quo as it is. So then there's no point in creating any change. All of them are the same traditionalists who are tied into, in some way, shape, or form, and working in lockstep with the people who were before them. And inculcate a group of people to come right after them to make sure so them uphold the same standards. And like Kamla said, people who never like beer, but me like to put it down to people who used to wipe them hand pan dog back to make it clean. People who never used to know knife and fork, but want to tell you now say knife and fork are the standard, even though them used to make dog lick off them hand and them wipe them hand pan dog back. I mean, sometimes I think about, I'm just like, I think about society standards and you have to think about whose standards are they really, because none of them never, if you think about it on a global scale, none of the standards by which people aim or, are forced to live by were created by Black people, if you think about it. all of them are systemic standards that were created and enforced by white people to get other people to do what they want them to do. It's weird. But like Shell said, I see no fix weed. Right now, unless I tell everybody to stop applying for goddamn school. That's all I can say. When they run out of money, then they realize, hey, you know what, like we need to actually get some students and make them wear wherever year they want to wear.
Kamala?
All right. Now, I think it's twofold. First and foremost, it has to be from the level of the Ministry of Education, where they need to intervene. They need to, one of these people need to, we have parliamentary representatives who can put forward motions to have changes to the Education Act that takes the power away from the individual schools, the individual principals, because it depends on which school. Basically, what I'm trying to say is it needs to be standardized. There needs to be a uniformity, right? One school can be saying, because I was in an argument with one of the school principal, them can be and them ever at war over this issue, because they are defending the status quo. And him tell me, say, my son's hair is well groomed. I said, but my son, that's my younger son. I said, but my son has a fade. And if he goes to KC, he cannot wear a fade. If he goes to several of these schools, he cannot. That is not well groomed. So what are you saying? All of these things need to be standardized. You understand? That is number one. Number two, the parents need to start organizing themselves and taking out some injunctions on these schools. As parent did it recently with Dunrobin Primary, where the little boy had a fade. And the principal didn't want him to come to school. And the mother got to Bert Samuels, and Bert Samuels wrote to the school. You understand? The principal backtrack and allowed the child to attend. Me think that enough of that need for go on. A lot of parents need to organize themselves and find some lawyers and make them write to these schools and say, listen, this is the situation. You understand? And more needs to be done to change, as I said, the act, the Education Act. We need to get people who these representatives that we have, we need representation.
True, I agree.
We need representation. You understand? That is how I see it. And until we do that, we have to stand up for ourselves as people. I'm seeing too many people online saying rules are rules. And it just puzzles me. Rules are rules. You realize up until either last year or this year, women couldn't wear sleeveless clothes to parliament. And it's the female parliamentarian them stand up and say, no, this don't make no sense. And the Prime Minister abolished the rule there. If you don't stand up, people don't understand. If you don't stand up for something, you're going to keep falling for everything. No, 40 years, 50 years ago, white people and black people could not drink from the same water fountain. That was a rule. You understand? They couldn't ride in the same bus. That was a rule. They couldn't go to the same schools.
So rules, yeah.
You can't change rules if you don't confront them. And there is nothing about these rules that have to do with grooming right now that are substantive. They're not substantive. They serve no purpose. There is no reason that there is no purpose that a rule saying that a child's hair should not be over 1 centimeter. There is no purpose to that rule. It doesn't protect the child from anything. You understand?
All right. Thank you guys for your input or your attempt to see if we can come up with some form of solution. And by the look of things, Kamala, I mean, as I said, it gets back down to a one blanket rule, if you want to call it that, where the Ministry of Education will have to enforce so that all schools across Jamaica will have to abide by. Shells says that it also will have to come back down to education of parents and students. And Gia says it. Why are we trying to scramble to go to the best high schools or the traditionally quote unquote best high schools in Jamaica? You know what I mean? So a part of it is just that we can't get rid of the Bakra syndrome, the residual of colonization in this day and age. And it's very hard. We have to unlearn and relearn and to be
That's it.
not cultured in the way in which we were cultured back in the day. Now, Professor Donna Hope made a post. I think I saw this on your page, Kamala. I was looking for it earlier. I didn't see it, but I had to go over by by Donna's page. And she made a post and she said, I find these debates about policing the current aesthetic choices of Afro-Jamaican children to be so nauseating. This has never been about rules, as these rules are dynamic and change almost with each breath. It has also been about enforcing a warped notion of authority, and we touch on that as well, and forcing young people to conform to bland uniformity beyond the often rather ugly clothing that is already mandated. So she's hitting out against the uniform as well in terms of, some of these outdated type of, style and fashion that, is required for school. The truth is that these rules change every single time young people decide on something that is fashionable and stylish. When afros were fashionable, they were outlawed in schools. When Bigfoot pants were fashionable, they were outlawed in schools. If shaved heads become fashionable for boys, it will be outlawed in schools, and some administrator will take the time out to issue an edict to outlines the length and inches of the hair of the expected hairstyle. She says that my stepdaughter was sent home with a letter from her high school because the teacher insisted that her hair had been colored. We had to inform the school that even as a black person, her family's genes means that her hair naturally gets lighter when exposed to a lot of sunshine. As happened that summer, it does. In a certain type of shoes is fashion, schools will issue an edict to ban it. This happened at my alma mater, St. Jago High School, during the era of young popular canvas ballet shoes. Now, I kind of cut it right there. We get it. Shakil, my wife, Shaki doesn't have jet black hair, as so to speak. So if Shaki did wear a natural hair, go to school, which she did, and maybe them did write to her parent and say, I never asked her, but maybe they had, written a letter to her parents and be like, yo, why did she color her hair? And it goes to show how ignorant some of these people are when it comes to the different hair types and qualities as well. And for a professor to say this, obviously, she sees the need to speak out against it. And a lot of people would be saying that, oh, Donna, I'm disappointed in what you posted. Oh, Kamla, I'm very disappointed in what you post and what you say on social media. But this is the issue. If somebody not talk up, it's going to only continue.
Exactly.
And you know what the funny thing is, though? Even though I understood it from Donna Hope writing it, in the back of my mind, I said to myself, even that right there is just like, to a certain degree, it's this warped sense of, if you're not nobody, you can't sit out in Jamaica, because at the same time, it had to be someone who was sitting in a seat of educated privilege who wrote something to say, I disagree with what you did. If it was just a regular lay person who wrote that, nobody would ever picked up on it, right? Had to be someone who had an educated seat of privilege, because you could have go to write something at the Gleaner and but that never look on you. You even think about the people who get to submit these letters to the editor. 3/4 of the time, them are people where somebody, it's just that them not have any editorial prowess or not, them not write no book yet, so them are try to get them name out there little by little, and so they write these things and they step on what they find to be issues at a point in time so that they can get their points across. But even that wouldn't say, I don't know, I just feel like, say, like, take the most important person that will ever say something for it to make sense. Like, people should just be able to, like, express who they are and just be free to do that, because that's who people are.
For who? Gio?
Gio, I have a question. When we start calling people Afro-Jamaicans?
And that me talk about, when you find somebody who want put them point across, they use their seats of privilege to write because they can. So that's why I say, even though she write it, she's still right.
Jamaicans to being Afro-Jamaicans, because they even want to get to the the American notice, and we take up some Afro-Jamaicans.
Hold on, Shells. What does the motto say?
No,
out of
so
many,
what we
one.
gonna call her
So
So we
Indian?
have to
Indian.
different.
So
So
what
we
we
have
gonna
to.
call her
Hold on,
Indian?
man. Hold on, man. So we have to differentiate between the Afro-Jamaican from the Afro this and the Afro that and the
So we never have
native
Indian
this
in
and
a
the
Jamaica.
native
What
that.
are you going to call her Indian? That is
First,
is from
never hear that
Jamaica.
terminology for true, yeah, Shelly. Nobody never
Yeah,
used to call nobody no Afro
put it down.
Jamaican.
and
We don't
that's why
want it. Put
and
it
that's
down.
and that's exactly why I said what I said, because someone who sits in a seat of educated privilege, who is probably not writing a book, won't come out and speak on an issue because it is pertinent at the point in time. But does the
But let's
person
not.
really care about the issue?
Yeah, this is Afro
I think she
Jamaican.
does. I think she does though. Let's not straight. And I'm going to be very frank with you. I applaud her for coming and writing this because hold on. It goes to show that not everybody who speaks from a place of privilege, you know what I mean, is in cahoots with a lot of these things that backers agents are trying to uphold.
True.
And I think in terms of her comment, because a professor, and as you say, she's up in the ranks, you know what I mean? And for her to come out and speak about it, because culture is what she's defending. And I
Yeah.
stand by her for that. So the main focus should be who will be the defender of the culture. And clearly these principles are not. Some of these principles, rather, they are not.
Most of them are not.
You know what I mean? So let me not broad brush and say principles are not. This principle from KC definitely isn't. And according to what I've heard from Gio, the JC principle isn't either. You know what it looks good to see though, Shells, Gio, and Kamala? When the St. Andrews principal can go out in front of her pupils and dance. And it's not only she's not only principal, Missy, I do it. Missy, other principals kind of took up the train and this happened. That's what I like to see. Even
I love that.
childhood with a sister, the principal who is a sister, a nun, dance. And I'm like, yo, this is what we want to see because it's your
Down
culture.
to earth.
Yes. Walk around with your nose all up in the air and all snobby because you are head.
You reach, you
are
arrive.
headmaster. And you just
arrive.
Them headmaster. Headmaster.
That's right. Him reach, him arrive. You can't talk to him.
Wow. You can imagine. I don't want to say this because I'm on Hype TV. If I wasn't, I would have said something. Much bend over backwards, no pun intended. Some of them
Whoa.
I said to the other one the other day, that's why I did take on. I take on one of them. I say, some real things found a position we can't talk about.
It's true.
And then they turn around and emotionally abuse people picnic. And then wonder why the picnic them stay so.
Thank you.
Do they check the mental health of some of these persons who they put in charge? Like, because we know that some of them old army people and some people. Because I strongly believe some of them really have some mental health issues going on. Them having some egotistic trips and
borderline personality and all
yes, disorder because they don't act right.
Mm-hmm.
They don't act right. And
all
just
right.
like how you wouldn't give anybody a gun, you can't give leave anybody to be in charge of people's children.
There you go.
Good point, Shells. We have 5 minutes, and I want to close off by saying thank you guys so much. Thank you, Kamla. Thank you, Gio. I mean, thank you, Shells. But before we go, guys, I want to talk about this. A national identification card will replace the need for a justice of the peace to verify your identity. So hold on, Jamaica never have ID.
Listen to this. So we never had national IDs, but the funny thing is this, right?
We never had that.
No, we didn't.
I grew up seeing my mother. Hold on, I grew up. Oh, you're being funny.
No, I'm being serious because what we had was our voters ID. But to my understanding, it was always identification.
All right, but that me just gonna say, okay, we don't have like a national quote unquote ID card, but we have one card we use for go vote. How
I used to I wonder to myself, like, when somebody says some foolishness like that, right? I'm like, so if I can use this thing to vote without a JP saying yes, that's you, go use it and vote. Why the hell me need someone need a piece of card for somebody saying like this is me?
Hold on, Gio. I remember seeing my mom with a national ID card, not the electoral card that she gets to vote. I can remember seeing my mother with an ID card. And then, of course, maybe them kind of upgrade it and give them the electoral one to vote.
Why we need a JP in the first place? Aren't JP supposed to be 100 and something year old and every community should have one? Because since they're supposed to know you, they're supposed to know you, you know, right? And in order to know so much people, you'd have to be of a certain age. And JP is coming all age. What you need a JP for?
I have a friend. Cheers, hold on there. I have a friend. We're in the same age group, and she's now a JP.
Hey, we have famous in Jamaica who are 25 years old.
Exactly. Am I not enough to identify myself? If I come with my passport, per se,
or a driver's license,
or my driver's license, I don't understand.
The funny thing is this: I've been saying. I remember. It's like when you go down a wish bar, then give out the driver's license, them now at all, right? You have JP sit down on the outside. Some of them, and they don't identify themselves because they know that what they're doing is illegal. Them sit down and then wait for people to come, them stamp their picture, them sign them signature on it, and you pay them money. And in the back of my mind, I'm like,
it's a business.
In the back of my mind, it's a business. It's not really. People just become JP because it's a business. I have a friend who's my age who is also a JP where she will sign off on your documents without you appearing no money because she knows they're part of something you do. But outside of that, to her credit, at least I think politically speaking, what she thinks about is being a JP is also a credit to her where she can have say like if you're on JP right now and you have a job outside of being a JP, you got the US Embassy, you're probably more likely to get your visa than anybody else. So I feel like the only reason she even went to the process of becoming one was because she wanted the perks.
A privilege. She wanted a perk.
Yeah.
But anyhow,
anything for needs. Anything for needs. Mr. Them are try push needs so hard. Like every little opportunity they get to say something is in need of needs, then that's what they're saying. Like
I am not against
it.
And Kamla, you and I, we have had this discussion already. I am not against needs, but if there are holes in it, of course, there are holes in it. And that's the only issue that I have. It's not 100% safe. And that's
the reason why
there will be a lot of identity theft.
Yeah, yes. For that sense, I hope that they will fortify that. Hope that they will fortify that base and make sure so that's covered. But I am all for having a database with the true identity of people, because it helps.
Not in this government, Andrew.
And that's what I just
Hold on. Let me finish. I mean, now I'm going to say nay, and that's what I said. If the government slack off, whichever government slack off, okay, cool. But I'm all for it, because guess what? Everywhere else we go in the world, we have to provide some form of biometrics.
You can't just your biometrics.
No, Andrew. Why isn't it in the country that you are living?
It is.
They don't use it there. What?
Of course. The biometric.
What? It's on your ID?
You mean? Forgot.
On your ID?
You have to scan your eye. No, it's not
on your ID.
It's not a matter of on your ID, but they already.
No, I'm asking if it's on your ID.
Yes.
Because scanning your eye to go to another country is your choice.
Hold on.
Any day that Jamaican government, may I come, Andrew, can give me those men, pedophiles and rapists and all of them people that will commit sexual offense, put their faces and their addresses and their names out there for people to know who they are. And that we can know if a them live beside we and a rape and molest and murder with children, then I can stand up and say, bring needs come.
I mean, yeah.
Because the country that we live in and the corruption that it is now and all that we see happening and the fact that not even with hospitals don't have a system where you can store people's health information where it is retrievable in a good manageable way. You tell me say me must give you my biometrics for do a weird.
No, sir.
Well, I mean, in that case, as I said, if them not secure them data, if them not secure,
it won't be secure.
But it won't be secure. Can we see one breach very recently? No? We see a breach happen. Everybody has scrambled to fix things. Not Jamaica.
I hope.
Not right now. Me not against needs, you know.
I hope.
But
take
the fingerprint of criminals and leave me with my fingerprint alone. And the eye scan. Leave me with that. You are a fringe on my rights. Me not need it. If me want to go foreign, that mean me volunteer if you give it away. Me no want Andrew and people come tell me that.
The reason why I was against it, when they initially planned it was because one, as they had pointed out, it was a non-cash garnering affair. And two, they were going to take a sizable loan from the US government. It was being funded in part by the US government for them to do it. No, something like that to me does not one reek of any kind of system that I can trust, because if it is something that's not going to generate any funds, why do you need somebody else's government to fund that particular thing? And as far as I was concerned, that would have been the biggest inroad to the potential sale of people's information, because if you had created a system like that, you would have kept most people who were going to apply for a visa at their knees automatically, because one, it would have been like, what's your name? It would have been like Itana's song. When you talk about your address, where you come from. Exactly, it would have been like that. If you have someone's biometrics and everything for them down to a T, there is no need for me to even bother going there, because I already know that I am going to be looked at based on where I'm from and what this particular piece of identification says about me, and it would be a lopsided thing against me. It wouldn't work in my favor. It's kind of like how enough people, when they might apply for a job, you use somebody else just because the person lives in a better neighborhood than you do, and you get the job. Me go on that now, me depend needs. Me can't apply if you no job, because there might be information I know say, oh no, I don't crib come from, we don't keep it, we don't want to up here. It doesn't work. I don't think it would have worked, and I think it would have been the biggest sale of people's information ever. It'd find more people than that I get turned down because it didn't make sense. Why the US government need to fund it? We can make ID. The University of West Indies can print ID on them compound.
Why
we don't need America for doing millions of dollars to make no national ID.
Why they don't have it in the US?
If you
Why
can
US
make
want to
ID
come
from
from
the
Jamaica
campus,
doing it, and it's not
America,
in the US?
exactly.
Yes, it is. No, it is. It is
No, where?
here. It is
Where?
here. It is
Where?
here. Fingerprint, eye scan, and all of that. It is.
Where?
It is.
Where? It's on your ID?
Here. It is. Yes, it is.
Where? Every state has it?
Every citizen have some form of digital footprint that lead back to them.
On their ID?
Your driver's license.
Every state?
Your
What
passport.
kind of digital
But
footprint?
that's a driver's license.
We're talking about biometrics, Andrew. We are talking about biometrics, the digital footprint on your biometrics, because when this come out, Shelly, go search. And many major countries in the world try to institute it.
I know lots of people.
No,
Exactly.
not my rights. Not my rights.
Exactly.
And them couldn't do it.
Right.
So there are few countries where it is implemented, but a country like Jamaica, where them quote unquote call it third world.
Yep.
I went and I searched. So why the big people them don't have it? Them citizens say no. I mean them go and bad and them give them injunction and all heap of things go on. And they couldn't institute it. They fought for it. Yes. They said no. If things happen that I need, you need my fingerprints and you need to scan whatever you need to do because of whatever reason, and it is a legitimate reason, then you can do so. But my privacy is very important to me.
Exactly.
So
and if you're even not gonna take it from the US perspective, the reason why I can say safely that a system like this does not exist in the US is because one, you don't have everybody biometrics and them DNA on hand. It's like if that was the case, you could have proved who was the father all the time. You could have proved who was a criminal all the time. You wouldn't need all that. That's why they do rape kits and then get DNA and all them things, because nobody not have that system there. And like I keep saying, if me can go up on a university campus and get somebody to print me an ID, I don't need millions of dollars from the US government to print an ID.
Something.
That is not something that sounds right to me.
Something. Something.
Some money in something.
Yes.
Something.
And I just so. It doesn't smell right.
That's right.
And worse for Jamaican privacy. Look here, people always come in them something there. Oh, but you use your phone to do. I'm telling you, all of them something voluntary. Because if I have my phone, I don't have to put my fingerprint on it. I can literally just use a passcode. I don't have to put anything on it. If I choose to travel abroad, then I choose to travel abroad and to give over my biometrics. Nobody is taking it from me at one point to say, oh, if I don't have it. Remember they said them all like prison people who don't take it?
Exactly.
When it first come out, if you don't take it, how much money you're gonna be charged or prison sentence, and me I say, oh, this is something I come like back in a slavery days. Me not understand.
I've been saying
something just not right about it. Something is just not right about it. And don't come bring me phone something, give me a we visa or something. Someone move with that. Right over there, so go put on one place. That's voluntary, not mandated.
Sounds
Well,
familiar.
that part, hold on.
About
That part,
other things mandated.
that part,
Alright.
that part, me
Exactly.
not go agree with those shells because people who go give away them biometrics to whoever, this or no, me not agree with that. Nothing lick out against the needs though. Straight up, you not go give away your biometrics, so you can lick out
Let's
against
talk
that.
about, but that's I'm saying it's voluntary.
No, but whether it's voluntary or not, I don't feel like people who voluntarily do it for them already should have lick out against needs.
Womek, then Andrew,
No,
if you
because
want
no,
to
because
next man country, that man needs to know if you're a criminal or not, and whether or not they want you
exactly.
there. And you take the choice to do it. It's a choice.
Shells. What I'm saying is, you cannot lick out against needs if you already given up your. I just said it. If
Why
you're
not?
already given up
Why not?
your biometrics to another country or whoever, whether it's
It
safe
don't
or
matter.
unsafe.
But it's voluntary.
But that's what I'm saying. So you're not I have a problem
Why
with
not?
it because you already give it up. See?
But your reason is not plausible, Andrew. That's not
All
plausible.
right, wait, Shells.
Hold on, let me finish.
Shells.
Let me
Wait,
finish.
Shells.
Let me
Shells.
finish.
Let me see. Wait. Let me
The
show you
issue
now. Let me show you now. Andrew, write this out. Andrew, let me show you now.
Hold on,
I decided.
Let me finish, and then you can straighten it out. The issue is Jamaica is not secured as whoever else you put your trust in. That's the only issue, and that's what I will agree with. Jamaica is not secure as much as quote unquote America or whoever else would have implemented.
It's not secure, period.
Is where I come from? All right, exactly. So Jamaica is secure, period. So that's the only thing. That have nothing to do with people volunteer or not volunteering. That's the only issue I have.
No,
but if you give your private information to somebody else, you shouldn't have a problem where somebody else wants to solicit said information. That's just my argument.
All right, wait, Andrew. So Andrew, peep this.
Because if it's private and a secret, it should have stay private and a secret.
So Andrew, peep this. I decided to come here, right? The only thing I had to do was give them my fingerprint and a police record for them to say I am not a criminal. I didn't have to scan me eye, X, Y, Z, but at the same time, because of the European Union setup, they
have to scan your eye or them not scan
your eye? No. I didn't know none of that. I just gave them my fingerprints. Right. That's all it was. Scan my fingerprint, them have that. Now, the EU shares information across the board. So I can move anywhere inside of these 26 countries I want because everybody have my information. Them knows I'm not a criminal. That's that. I made that choice. But when you look at the situation as it is presented to Jamaican people with needs and how it was presented, it did not make sense. It was not giving anybody a fair shake. You were promising people prison time if they didn't subject themselves to your system.
Gio, we already did that, Gio. That's what I'm saying. Let's take away.
But what I'm saying, is this.
Because Gio, I just explained my point. When them take away all of that, forcing you and giving you my ultimatum and all of that. Let's take that away, bro. I'm talking about the only reason.
But what I'm saying is, to your point, I chose to. No, but what I'm saying is this. Yeah, but what I'm saying is this, and what Shell said, which was correct. I chose to live somewhere else that was not my home, and I chose to make somewhere else my home, and these people required my information, fingerprints, for that particular purpose. I chose that. But it doesn't mean that I can't turn around and tell somebody else what is wrong with the plan with them.
No, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is if you expose yourself over Yasso, and that's what I said, take away them forcing you to expose yourself. Take away them forcing you to expose yourself. If you force yourself over here and somebody over here so ask you to expose yourself, I don't think it should be a big issue. Not saying you're supposed to, I don't think it should be a big issue you to give them that. Not in my opinion.
Of course.
Not in my opinion.
It's your choice. It was your choice to make, Andrew.
It's your choice.
It's your choice to make whether or not you want to give somebody.
That's why I said, hold on, guys. That's why I said, take away being forced. I keep saying that. And that's what I'm saying.
I'm not talking about that anymore, but that's not what I'm talking about.
I cannot disagree
with what you said. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what you said. You said if someone has, if someone has made that choice, they shouldn't have an opinion on needs. You're not feeling out on it. I'm saying no, you can't. Because the thing is this, right?
Yes, exactly. Hold on. Shakia said, exactly. You cannot
exactly. That's what you said.
Because the primary purpose of needs. Let's not talk about what comes with needs. The primary purpose of needs is to have a database so that they can have a check on every single Jamaican who is living within the space. And
We
I'm
know why
saying,
they have that.
fine.
But
That's
you
a
could do
judgment.
that with
Yeah.
but you could do that with the voters' IDs that have been
And the
issued.
No,
TRN, the
but
very TRN
and
were even a
exactly.
baby.
You
hold
have
on,
that
Don't have a
official
TRN
registration
now.
already.
But Gio, you said that. Not because I have a voter's ID, the address and the information on the voter's ID is accurate and aligned with me. I can
But that
use
don't make no
Shell's
sense,
address and
Andrew,
everything.
because Nids can
I
come in
can
now
do
and
that.
me live one place in a Port Antonio and me move. That not gonna make a difference.
No,
What them are gonna do?
see,
Tag me every time?
Exactly.
but needs isn't only about your address or your whereabouts. We just said it. Needs
Andrew,
is
remember,
people.
you know, Andrew, you seem to be forgetting a lot of things, you know,
This is
because
people.
them say it will help with crime. So that means say it's supposed to know your whereabouts. It's supposed to capture a lot of things.
All right.
lot of things.
Watch this. Watch this.
Are
This
they
is
going
how
to fingerprint? Andrew, you're not supposed to even fingerprint me for certain offenses. So what you tell me, say,
Exactly.
what you are going to tell me, say, where does my constitution lie when my government are going to tell me, say, me must give them my fingerprint for put power ID?
No.
Bulls.
Shells.
Because if the police stop me on road for certain things, and them lock me up for certain things, they cannot fingerprint me.
Shells.
So you have your constitutional rights, and my government going to take that from me if you put power ID. For anybody in Jamaica have access to my information, you're crazy. And them crazy too.
This is it. I am not against it. And I'll say this, I am not against it. Because one, me I'm a criminal. The only issue I have as to what we agree on is to say that the information might not be kept securely. That's the only issue I have with it. Nothing else. If more give you my DNA, my this, my that.
You could never trust no government in Jamaica with my information.
That's why I said
none.
The only thing is the
I mean, I trust no other Jamaican with my information neither. No.
If them can secure it, because anywhere take it, the United States and Europe, they have my fingerprint. I'm sure about that in Europe. They might not have my full biometrics because as thing the GS said, never figure no blood this, me never do none of that. Fingerprint, yes. Apply for a visa, get it. In America, is the same thing. So therefore, me no mind it. That's why I'm saying, I speak for myself now. I don't mind it. Because at the end of the day, it is already out there. So even Jamaica now no have to say, okay, me I go even take the Jamaicans them. Jamaicans could have work in alliance with the US and say, okay, send me the bios that you have of these people. So that's what I'm saying.
And get a big fat lawsuit.
I get it. No, but how
and get some big fat lawsuit. Change. You're not supposed to share people information.
Yeah.
But they're sharing it though.
But them can't share make you know, because if they share yours.
My point. There's some loop. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, you take it. There's loop. I'm not saying you're wrong in the shells. All I'm saying is for me.
I didn't say you say I'm wrong. And I'm not saying you're wrong for your feelings either.
To how it's set up, shells, I will repeat it. The point is, I don't think it should have been a problem. I'm not saying that the person must and is stupid not to. I'm just saying I don't think it should be a problem because it is already out there. And we all know how them thing and network and how them stay already. Just as Gio said, within Europe, they're all network. In the Americas, they all network. So if push come to shove and they want information, they are going to get it. Constitutionally, yes, I do agree with that because it's a constitution. But then again, what is a constitution? It's just a rule and piece of paper that you get and you say you're supposed to abide by that. And them can change it, them can amend it as them go along. So in that sense, I would even buy that. But as we say, I'm with for needs. Yan, you and you don't want needs. I don't want needs if the information is not going to keep secure. And I don't mind it coming in because one, me and a criminal, me not hide. I don't think you and Gio are criminals. I don't think you guys have anything hiding. But hey.
Yes, I have something I hide.
Hey. Hey, ask every Jamaican who get filed for, them biometrics they are foreign. Because they have to do DNA test, it's sample, go a doctor, go do this, everything. So it is a thing. It is a thing. You know what I mean? It is a thing. But for Jamaica, I don't know. But hey, thank you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great night.
Anytime.
don't give your fingerprint, Shells.
Gio.
Don't give your fingerprint.
Me?
Gio don't give a female already to
exactly.
Europe. So
26,
I
somebody of my own.
I went done gear already because everything I got through them PS there and you go say, looking at the camera, you go say, I put your finger up and you sit and you scan it. Everything get taken right this up. So Shells, I hope you come for your visa still.
Me, I come off
if
of
you
the
have your
grid.
visa-
Me
or and I'm
definitely
just
come
gonna
off
say,
of the grid.
or if
Yeah,
you have
man.
your visa, that's your way.
Me, I come off of the grid.
Because it's crazy though. But on a serious note though, guys, we can't, trust the government, which is true. And as the other day, there was a data breach, and it kind of come off scary.
You see, that needs money there, Andrew. I'm passionate about them using it to fix the healthcare system and buy some fire truck for the fireman them and them something still, I'm not telling a lie. That needs money there. All right, now, how much ID we have, Gio? 3 or 4? National ID, you can have driver's license, passport. No more than that. Your birth certificate, 4 identification. So one of them are going done away with birth certificate when needs come in. You know how gone.
Cannot.
The funny thing is, Charles, you see if them even have one good database to begin with, because I understand we never use computers the right way functionally in our country. In a Jamaica, for even say, because they have all of the information them look for, them have it already. And they could go between the different bodies that they have by the government and digitize all that information and keep that on hand and know exactly what is what. They don't need it. I waste look some more money if you take from somebody for waste for something where them don't need. That's as simple as we can put it. Money if you take from somebody for something where them don't need none at
all. Wow, it's crazy.
All right.
Well, let's see. Needs another place. I mean,
All right, good people. I'm gonna leave you guys.
Walk out.
Yeah.
Walk good.
Everybody walk good. Stay blessed. Yep.
Respect.
Andrew?
Yeah. Stay. No. Call me after this because I'm gonna run something for hype. So queer relaunch. The replay is up next, guys. If you want to watch it on Hype TV, thank you. We're gonna end the live on Facebook and YouTube, but on Hype TV, up next is the queer grand opening at 96 Hope Road. Shells, what go there? Catch you next week or Wednesday. All right, guys, that's it. We have come to the end of another show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. On behalf of the production crew, we want to say big respect and thank you so much for tuning in. This has been another episode of VAL'S Views Live, the podcast. Thank you guys for your comments. Thank you for your feedback. Nadine, Jagarn, Siobhan, the entire massive Avram, everybody who is in the comment section. Can't start calling the names, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. Peace. Next week, same time, same place. I'm out of here.
Welcome to VAL'S Views Live podcast. Real news, real talk, real views. Join us weekly for social, political, and religious commentaries, analytically dissecting viral news and more. When they mix it, we'll fix it. Unorthodox and unfiltered views. This is VAL'S Views Live, the podcast edition. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Watch it live in Jamaica on Hype TV and across the Caribbean. Stream it live on Facebook, YouTube. Don't miss it.